All right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the final book club for 2025. I had my head so much in 2026 I keep wanting to say 2026, but that would be foolish. We are here for book club number 34 for Wizard and Glass, this is our back-to-back one because we have the year-end bash in the second episode of December. So let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And we're here for book club number 34, which is our final book club for 2025. We are, of course, double dipping, going two in a row because we have the year-end bash coming up at the second episode of December. It's a pretty traditional thing we do to flip-flop those episodes. We're here for 34. We're kind of in the heat of it here. Yeah. I will also say, as we were doing the prep on this, I had originally went through and tagged my book out for like how I paced it out, and I remember I had made a mistake earlier on.
Yeah,
we lined back up at the end of this episode, so maybe we are on pace back for I think April is what we ended up.
Your original,
my original
prediction.
Yeah, like just kind of mapping it
per
out.
My calculations.
Yes, exactly. Per my calculations, I believe it was April. Let me see if I can find that tab. So, but yeah, we're chugging along here. Oh man, somewhere I had it, I thought. Yes. So, or no, never mind. I have a thing that was tracking all the previous podcasts, but that didn't even finish through Wastelands last time I updated that. So that's been a while. Either way, I think it's about April was my rough calculations as to when we'll be finishing. And I thought that I had screwed something up, but now at the end of this episode, we ended up right back on pace where we were. So maybe it's self-corrected and we will be finishing this and then starting in May for
Wolves of the
Call Us. So let's go ahead and jump on into the introduction. We don't have a spoiler warning. We do have a spoiler section at the very end of these episodes, but the general thought with these episodes, with the book club episodes, is we stay where we're at or before we don't jump ahead. We do have a strict spoiler section at the very, very end, but we will make sure you're warned both audibly and visually if you are watching or if you're listening. So if you are not finished with the 7 primary books, you'll be warned before. So that is, and yes, I believe we do have something that goes beyond this book, because sometimes the spoiler warning just goes a little bit ahead of where we're at. But overall, 99% of this episode will be where we're at here or before, nothing jumping ahead. Then if you want to find us on Apple Podcast or podcasting wise, you can find us on Apple Podcasting, stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can find us also on any traditional podcast catcher of your choice. If you could subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. Then if you want to join us for the live streams or watch old live streams or watch some of our short content, there's all kinds of stuff going on around on YouTube these days. It's over here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. If you're over here on this side, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications to save us from lightning teeth from Blaine the Mono and North Central Positronics. All of those evil things. Speaking of which, they've completely changed the setup that I see on my screen here, and it is not a happy thing.
Tad's upset.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, because it's not, well, I don't like change. I think that's a normal human thing. But on top of that, no, they've changed it to where, like, my counter for, like, how many people are watching and stuff that used to be just, like, built into everything. Like, now I have to be on a tab on my lower options that I would never normally be in. It's like the tab that has all the settings, like how I connect the thing to OBS, all like shit that I've never fuck with. You set it up once, you never look at that tab again.
Yeah.
I have to now be in that tab to see like our concurrent viewers and stuff. So it's not at all done well. So screw you, Google. Send Lightning Teeth Peter's way if you.
What did I do? I didn't say anything.
It's like Peacemaker when they're gonna torture Vigilante because Peacemaker won't talk. And you like Lightning Teeth, so why not?
No, I do not.
But yeah, then if you want to find the show notes, you can find that over at darktowerpalaver.com. We don't have show notes for the book club episodes, but that is the hub for all things Dark Tower Palaver. You can find the links for everything Dark Tower Palaver over there, as well as March Insanity stuff, which we'll be talking about next episode because that's on the horizon here. Then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. With that, you get access to our monthly hangouts, which we just did one yesterday, planning out our entire 2026 look ahead. See, too much 26 in my mind. I guess we're close to it anyway, so it's not like I'm, calling it 2026 in May.
No,
so
we're 25 days away from 2026.
Yeah, guess that's true. So, if you wanted, with that, you get the monthly hangouts as well as you get access to our Discord server, so you could chat with us all the time. Then, if you're at the high, and that is for everyone that's on Patreon. And then, if you're at the highest level, you can actually co-host a show with us. Mm-hmm. Then, if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
You can reach us. It's the best way is through email. It's show@darktowerpalaver.com. And then Tad mentioned it earlier when he mentioned YouTube. We do have our short form content. We are posting on Instagram now. It's Threads and Instagram, Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then we got our Blue Sky account. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then like we mentioned before, we're on Twitter. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then you can check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is Terrible sticker or shirt or pillow, hat. I think they even have coffee mugs.
Slander.
It's not slander. It's true.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, it is.
I was just looking at the old percentages here and seeing because we are now entering now that we're moving on into the actual book club portion, we are starting our final chapter of Roland's flashback story. We've made it I feel like I've covered it quite extensively, the way this book is structured. We've got 4 parts. The first and the last part are our modern day, and then the middle 2 parts are Roland's story. The 2 middle parts had 10 chapters, and starting today we are starting chapter 10. So chapter 10 is titled Beneath the Demon Moon 2. Not necessarily the most creative naming chapter for Stephen King.
It's hard, coming up with names for things.
I mean, I don't know. I think I can think of a couple things I could have named this chapter.
I think we could give him a break on this one.
I don't know. I'm not.
We'll give him a break.
I don't know about
We'll give him a break.
So yeah, we are starting chapter 10, but it is a long chapter. That's why I was kind of flipping through here. I'm trying to see how many freaking subchapters this one's got, because
well, while Tad looks that up, let me just give us the recap for what happened last episode leading up into this. We had the finally had the battle with Roland, Alain, and Cuthbert ambushing Jonas's party. Jonas's 2 parties, they had come together to form one big party. They killed everyone except for a few who escaped, and they rode off, running away. They took the ball. Jonas and DePape are dead. Reynolds is taking Susan back to Seafront, is what we see as well. And that's about where we're at right now, is that at the end for Roland, he looks into the ball.
Yeah.
And Susan's on her way back to Seafront. That's kind of the 2... Oh, and Sheemie's going after Susan, walking after Susan, running after her.
Yeah.
So that's basically where we're at with the last episode. So
just jumping to the end of this chapter entirely and looking at the percentages, the end of this chapter is at 87%, according to my thing, and we're currently at 80. So that would be what, 8 episodes? Or no, I'm not 8. 4 episodes.
About 2% every episode.
From now, about 2% is
Yeah.
what we usually shoot for. So 4 more episodes of this chapter, but also that 4th chapter, or that 4th episode, we actually cross over into the next chapter as well. It's not neat and clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't cut off exactly. So, so we've got this one, and then we've got 3 more. So that would be February, March, April. Well, no, that doesn't make any damn sense. something's off here because
You're mathing Ted.
Yeah, something's wrong. Because wait, that doesn't make any sense anyway. Because the last chapter is a lot shorter.
Were you counting to when Roland's story ends, not the end of the book?
No, I thought I'd counted the end of the book. I thought I marked both, and I don't know where the hell my damn notes are at on that. But either way, But looking at the end of this chapter, though, it will carry us through 4 more episodes. It looks like just by the rough percentages. But that 4th episode, like I said, will cross us over into the next part, which is part 4. So, that's kind of what we got on the docket. Because that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Sorry, one step back before we dive into the text here. We do have a book club in January. Sometimes that isn't a thing, but January has enough days because we usually take at least like one episode off just to take kind of a winter break. And so that usually means we have one episode in January, but January would have been one of the months with 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So we will have 2 full episodes in January. So we will be back for January. So I guess that's where part of my problem is because I was skipping January just out of habit. So January, this episode, January, February, March it was when we'll cross over into the next part, but that still doesn't make sense because unless that last part is so damn short that we're getting through it in one episode, I mean, maybe, but I'm not sure. Or my math was in fact incorrect when it comes to like where we're actually going to get to like, oh, you know what? Yeah, no.
Is there a big chunk at the end that's the preview for Wolves of the Caller? Did you take that out?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did. So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into chapter 10, Beneath the Demon Moon 2, and we are of course in subchapter 1.
Yep. So subchapter 1 starts with Coral's grip on Susan's arm was firm but not painful, so it didn't seem particularly cruel the way she was moving her along the downstairs corridor, but it was the relentlessness about that was disheartening to Susan. She didn't try to protest. It would have been useless. Behind the 2 women were a pair of vaqueros armed with knives and bolas rather than guns, since all the guns had gone west with Jonas. Behind the Vax, sulking along like a sullen ghost, was the Chancellor's brother Laszlo. Reynolds' taste for a spot of Journey's End rape, blunted by the sense of disquiet, he remained either above or had gone into town. So, gonna pause right there, kind of catch our breath, because that was a lot to just jump into.
Yeah.
Susan is back in Seafront in the hands of Jonas's lover, Coral Thorin, whose brother was also murdered, and they framed the boys for both that and the mayor's murder. But at least Reynolds didn't follow through with his plans for her. That's, oh, thank goodness, you know?
Yeah, indeed. I was also just doing some more rough math, and so we're when we get to the afterward, it's 94%. So 87 at the end of this part, and that means that we got 87 through 94 puts us through the rest of the book essentially. Okay. So maybe May is not exactly right. Maybe it's 1 month off then. So I'm kind of wondering if I was actually when we were actually circling like April or whatever it was, I wonder if we were circling the end of Roland's story potentially. Maybe. So my memory is all fuzzy, but either way, so my note here, the fact that Coral's not cruel makes that one person so far today that's not been cruel to Susan very unexpected, because also Coral's such a rough person that like I don't know why I'd almost expect her just to be like abusive and rough to Susan just as a general rule. So for her not to be like is kind of a surprise.
Yeah, especially with her like siding with Jonas and everything like that, and we know that they've already blown up Sitco. Jonas and Coral saw that from their balcony and everything like that at Seafront. So it's like you would expect her to be upset, like you messed everything up. How beating on Susan, but she's not.
Yeah, she's not. So that's kind of an interesting surprise. And then all of the guns are waiting for our boys. Good for any rescue attempt here if there's going to be one, but not good for our boys.
Well, that was with Jonas's party, remember, that they went with. So they're already dispatched. So.
Well, we know that some of the guns are also, because he split his party way early on and sent some of them to Hanging Rock. Because remember, there was the one point that he's like, we're going to keep like 10 or whatever people with him, and the rest send to Hanging Rock.
No, it was 10 with him as an advanced party, and then he stopped, turned around, and joined the main party that was coming behind with Rhea and the glass ball. Then he joined up into the large party, and that's the group that the boys ambushed. They didn't send anyone to Hanging Rock.
Well, they have people there, though.
There's Latigo and his men at Hanging Rock, not any of Jonas's guys from Seafront. All of them were dispatched last episode, or hightailing it to the furthest corner of the earth,
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see that on screen, to see some cowboys holding knives.
Yeah,
That seems unnatural.
Yeah, and it mentioned the bolas as well.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, I don't know what a bolus
I
is.
feel like I've looked that up before, but I don't remember.
It's the little it's the little cat
David and Goliath thing.
Yeah. It has 3 balls on it, and then you spin it over your head, and wraps around and then smacks people with the balls.
Yeah, I've definitely looked those up before.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm thinking like a sling with 2. This is like a whip with 3 ends. Yeah.
So you Catwoman uses those in Arkham City. Batman Arkham City, the video game.
Yeah.
She has that. She throws them at people. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a throwing weapon and then daggers. So that's what we have.
Medium and short range is all. But I guess even in a traditional sense, cowboys have like 6-shooters that had non-rifled barrels. So let's not pretend that cowboys had any long distance effectiveness.
No, I always think of every time someone is talking about like being accurate with a 6-shooter back in the Old West. I always think of that the opening to Tombstone, where it shows like the old time footage. You see people like shooting at each other from like me to you away, like 4 feet away, and missing.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait.
Yeah.
But also you have to take into account half of them were drunk the entire time. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of drunk people. There's non-rifled barrels. There's also very, very shitty ammo.
Also not very well preserved, taking care of guns. They didn't care for them. Just like nowadays.
Just like me on Red Dead. I'd never take care of my guns.
You're a heathen if you don't. What is wrong with you?
I ain't got time for that. Now, when I'm in town, I'll go to the gunsmith and let him clean it up for me.
You're just the worst. Take a second and clean your guns, Tad. They perform better.
Oh.
Literally, the stats drop when they get dirty. What are you doing?
Oh, I know. I see every time I go to the gunsmith.
And then Tad gets into a firefight. Oh, God, these guns are worthless. It's your fault.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I think usually I just like drop all my gun oil too. I don't think I ever have any on me.
You're just the worst. You know that. So going on.
I love it when I can upset you and I'm not even planning on it. I love it. Good stuff.
I swear you plan it. I swear you do. So going on, Coral tells her Susan that she's going to put her in the cold pantry and that it's good that she wore a serape, so she will be quiet, safe, and warm until Coral figures out what to do with her. Then she says when Jonas gets back, and Susan cuts her off and says, "You'll never see Cy Jonas again. He won't ever. You won't ever." And fresh pain exploded on Susan's already sensitive cheek. She reeled back again against the dressed stone of the lower corridor. Her vision was blurred. It started to slowly clear, and she could feel blood flowing down her cheek from a wound that was caused by Coral's ring that had opened on her cheek. She had backhanded Susan, cutting her cheek and made her nose bleed as well. Coral looked at her all businesslike, but Susan thought she saw something different in Coral's eyes. Fear, mayhap. Coral says, "Don't talk to her about Eldred, Missy. He will catch the boys who killed her brother and the boys she set loose." I just pausing here. Oh, man, Susan's poor face. She's been rocked 3 or 4 or 5 times now.
You know what I expect
in
this come the Flanagan series? Is Susan to turn and go, "Cut me, Mick."
She's got like the eyes swollen.
Yeah, pretty much. She's been roughed up quite bad here. And then my note, not unexpected that she's touchy about talk of Jonas, who's dead already. That we know that, but of course she doesn't. Nor does Susan. Like nobody necessarily knows that, but we do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think Susan knows. Susan might know.
No, I mean it's all hope for her. It's kind of the idea of like my boys are going to kill your boys type thing. Like she doesn't know, she just hopes because she knows.
It's just kind of interesting the way the King's writing it. Susan's so confident that her guys are going to come out on top, and here Coral's all like fearful, like something's wrong and everything like that, which is exactly how they should feel if they are connected to their men, and Jonas is dead and Roland's not.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like that interesting parallel.
Yeah, Susan knows the plan, so like maybe, but I think she is. There's a bit of a roll of the dice on faith here, but I do kind of I've always viewed this kind of as like Luke versus Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, where he's just throwing all the shit at him about like just throwing barbs at Palpatine, you're going to lose and all this kind of nonsense. And it's like, you don't know that. You're hoping, but you don't know that.
Right.
So that's how I've always read it. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's how I've always read it.
When there's the dread in Coral's eyes, that fear doesn't come from nothing.
Yeah.
She's not a woman that gets rattle it easily. And
No,
so
but
Susan seeing that.
But I think ever since the tankers, or not the tankers, the Citgo started blowing up, I feel like everyone on that side has been very nervous, right? Because everything is going wrong, and it's like we saw it with Jonas, we've seen it with both other coffin hunters, and now we're seeing it with Coral. Like, I think everyone's
we even saw it with like Langell and the Horsemen's Association guys that were riding with Jonas. Like they were all like,
yeah, because it's just this is not how it is supposed to go.
Well, not only that, on top of that, we also have to remember the superstitious nature of these people. All of this is happening under the Demon Moon. Yeah. So
part two.
Exactly.
Stupid name. Stupid.
I don't know why you get so worked up over little things like this.
All I'm saying, I'm not going to say anything, but having read this book a number of times, I can think of 5 other names you could have named this.
I know one you're thinking of, but we'll get there. Not this episode, but
no. But I'm just saying, and there's even others. There's a number of things you could have named this other than Beneath the Demon Moon 2. Come on.
But it is Beneath the Demon Moon as well.
Well, in that case, why isn't there just like 3 titles for this entire fucking book? Because they probably all could have been. Yeah. Sorry. Not a fan.
I gotcha. So my last note here, there was a small sliver of hope that no one in town would know that Susan had helped. I mean, when you think about it, the boys broke out and they're just, how did these 2 die? The sheriff and the deputy, how did they die? No one knows and everything like that.
How did they find out again? Did they find her hair at the scene? Did Jonas find one of her hairs or something?
No, nothing.
I thought
Jonas sees it in the ball. Because that's when he sees Susan at the hut. He's like, oh, you helped him escape. Okay, that's why you're here. He just kind of pieced it together. There was no like hard evidence or anything like that proves that Susan was there. But when Coral goes off and tells everyone that she is there, that she was there and that she did it. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, David popped in. Luke Palpatine, Heil nerds.
Heil.
I mean that. Yeah, I can't deny it with my Princess Leia new tattoo I just got.
Nope.
So can't deny it.
You got 2 Star Wars tattoos and that's it.
Yeah,
so.
It's true.
Nerd.
I've been thinking about a Dark Tower tattoo. I've yet to like settle on exactly what I would want though. That's the thing. The Eye of the Crimson King would be awesome if it didn't look like a fucking cable company. Because like I'm okay with like good things like the Crimson King, but absolute abject evil like cable companies.
Dude,
that's beyond the pale.
You got to do something like Nazala or a Takuro Spirit.
That's what I've thought about actually.
Or the Kansas City Monarchs.
Yeah, I've thought about some of that kind of stuff for sure. Probably not the Monarchs because that's a real thing. That's like a real team that existed. And I think they've come back as like a minor league team that uses that name, I think. So so I wouldn't do that one, but like Takuro Spirit,
Nazala.
Yeah, something like that maybe, but like I don't know. Maybe something flag.
It's those little things like that I love those kinds of tattoos. This is why the idea that I have, remember the one I sent you with the what I'm thinking of getting on my forearm here? Right up my alley.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some good ideas for sure, but I don't know.
You could get one that says "I break for Billy Bumblers,"
or "Oi, attack Jake on a bridge."
Oh, you just stop it. Going on.
Get an artist to like just create like a Billy Bumbler just latching onto a kid's arm with its like fucking evil eyes with like the mad eyebrows,
the
and
red, and
foaming
everything.
mouth and stuff. Yeah, beasts.
Just the worst. Susan tells her to get off it and wipes her nose. Blood pools in her palm as she wipes it on the leg of her pants. Susan goes on to say she knows who killed Hart and Coral does too. Then tells her not to pull hers and she won't pull on Coral's. She watched Coral's hand raised, ready to be slapped again, and managed a dry laugh. Go on and cut my face on the other side if you like. Will that change how you sleep tonight with no man to warm the other side of the bed? Coral's hand came down fast and hard, but it didn't slap. It seized Susan's arm again, and this time it did hurt, but Susan barely felt it. She had been hurt by experts today, and would suffer more hurt gladly if it would hasten the moment when she and Roland could be together again.
Yeah, and also just to catch up, David had a good idea. Get a tattoo for Chad Bourne.
Chad Bourne?
It's a deep cut. It's a super deep cut.
I don't know who that is.
I guess we can't say it in this episode right now. That would be a spoiler, I guess. So that is a really deep cut actually. Also Baraki says vicious bumblers nod. And then David said, I break beams for Billy Bumblers. Good stuff. Let's see. Where did we? Okay. So my note here, at least Coral didn't double down on the bullshit story. She just kind of let go of that narrative. And again, I think that fits Coral. I don't think we've necessarily spent nearly as much time with Coral as some of these other characters, but I feel like what we have spent with her, I think we all kind of understand what kind of person she is.
Zero bullshit.
And she's not going to, versus like Cordelia or someone would just hold to that narrative and never let it go to the point where she'd eventually probably start believing it because you just get so self-deluded.
Mm-hmm.
Like Coral just like says it once and then drops it from there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to respect that. That's
She's a little bit more business-like. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my note here, Susan, maybe now isn't the time to go poking Coral. She seems a little bit on edge. Let's dial that back a little bit. Just
Hagamorphy, I break for Stephen King. Especially if you drive a van.
Yeah, don't do that. Coral hauled her the rest of the way down the corridor through the uncannily deserted kitchen that would have been a madhouse on any other reaping day, and to the iron-bound door on the far side, which she opened, and the smell of gourd, sharp root, and potatoes drifted out. Coral tells Susan to get in there, go smart before she kicks her winsome ass square. Susan looks her in the eyes and smiles, and then I had to quote this from the book. So, quote, I damn you for a murderer's bed bitch, sigh Thorin, but you've already damned yourself. Ye know it, too. 'Tis written in your face, to be sure. So I'll just drop ye a curtsy, still smiling, she suited action to the words, and wish ye a very good day. And that's the end of the quote from the book. Coral screams to get in and shut up and push Susan into the cold pantry. She slammed the door and ran the bolt. She turned to the Vax and said, keep her well, muchachos, mind me ye do, then stormed off without waiting for assurances. She went up to her late brother's suite to wait for Jonas or word of Jonas. The whey-faced bitch sitting with the carrots and potatoes knew nothing, Coral thought, but her words, you'll never see Cy Jonas again, were in Coral's head now, and they echoed and would not leave. And that's the end of the first subchapter for us. Susan, stop pushing everyone's goddamn buttons. It's like you want to get your ass kicked.
As I say, I feel like
oh my gosh, girl.
Yeah, what she was doing before, right? Because Sheemie
she was doing it. She was doing it with Reynolds.
Yeah, because Sheemie, well, even when they were still at the whole
Jonas, like come on.
Because Sheemie was like, quit making him mad type thing. So yeah, that's that she's in a mood for sure.
She is.
So, so it is satisfying though to see any of our people get some barbs in.
Oh yeah,
because all these other people are so nervous that like those barbs are going to be more effective than if I don't know otherwise they might be. So it's kind of nice, even though yes she's paying the price for it. It is still kind of you got her.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
yeah.
And then my last note for this subchapter, back to what we were talking about before. Coral does seem a bit nervous here at the end. Like, we see glimpses of it throughout the subchapter, but right here at the end, absolutely, she's on pins and needles. She's nervous as hell.
Yeah. And I guess there's part of me that wonders, like, yes, the like Sitgo blowing up is kind of a massive event or whatever, but like how much of it is also just like the, the demon moon, how much superstition, even for the people that are a little bit more like grounded, not necessarily but like, is that enough to like actually be throwing people off, like, I don't know. I feel like I know people that are fairly grounded, but like they actually believe that like shit gets worse on like full moons and stuff, like in terms of like, more accidents or whatever, more violence. Like there's all kinds of nonsense that people believe in our world. It's like, I see
one of the worst ones is the EMTs, man. You say a full moon and an ER and an EMT and stuff like that, they're like, oh God, here we go. It's like, what?
And so it's like, because again, we were just talking earlier about how Coral is, I don't know, just she's she's got a certain way about her, and I wouldn't necessarily think that like, oh yeah, she would be super superstitious with all this shit. And obviously she was in on the planning of like the murder, so it wouldn't be like the the dark cloud that brought on the town. She doesn't care about that, but it's like, so it would have to be, it could be Sitgo, but it could. I wonder also if like the demon moon thing is something that actually like. Because they've all been taught it since they were young kids.
They're
so it's
all
like sometimes
superstitious.
Sometimes that's so deeply rooted that no matter how like mature and beyond that you get, there's still a slight element of like
if a small town has it where you don't cross this bridge on a Friday night. You just don't. You drive around. It takes 5 extra minutes to drive around. You don't cross that bridge on Friday night. because the pastor and his wife died there 30 years ago, and they haunt it. And every Friday night, if you drive across it, you're gonna, dude. There's people still in our world that are like, nope, I'm not driving that bridge. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But here's something for Coral that just popped into my head. She was getting down with Jonas when Sitgo blew up. They were done. They were celebrating. Like,
Yeah.
okay, the town's gonna lynch the boys tomorrow on Reap. They're gonna burn, and it's gonna be over. I can take my men, go get the tankers, and go la-di-da off to Farson. We have his glass ball. Rhea's in the other room. You know, everything's hunky-dory. And then Sitgo blows up.
Yeah.
And then Jonas leaves. And so everything just... They had got to the point of the plan where the plan was executed. Everything was good. And then it went to shit.
Yeah.
Or it seems like it's starting to go to shit. Because like you mentioned earlier, Coral doesn't know that Jonas is dead.
Yeah.
She has no idea about that. But Sitgo going wrong, Sitgo blowing up, and everything like that has her like, well, if that went wrong, what else can go wrong?
Yeah.
And you have to remember, I mean, as heartless as some of these people seem, she still is an accomplice to murder here.
Yeah.
And not only murder, the murder of the two highest profile men in this area.
Including her brother.
Including her brother, which, if found out, she will die.
Yeah.
They will absolutely execute her for this. So I think that there's a little bit, no matter how solid she is on the bedrock and everything, I think there's a little crack. I think it's starting to shake a little bit for her.
Yeah.
And I think we see it throughout this subchapter.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so jumping over to subchapter 2, we're going to start off with a time check. So the bell of the town gathering hall clock sounded noon, and if the strange silence over Hambry on Reap was strange, the silence in the Traveler's Rest was eerie. More than 200 people are packed in, drinking hard, yet there was hardly any sound coming from them, beyond the occasional sound of shuffling feet and the sound of glasses being set on the bar requesting a new drink, which I love that, because there's like a difference of just like setting your glass down because like you're in the middle of drinks versus like slamming down an empty cup where it's like, get me another type thing. So like, and like, I don't know. And so my notes here, so we're getting a time check again as now we're passing from morning into noon, more of our ticking clock. You know,
yeah, it seems like we were building up to Reap the entire time, and now it's one day that we're going through.
Yeah, and we've been pretty much before dawn, right? We started
nighttime. It was night. It was like midnight when we hit Sitgo and stuff like that. Early hours of the morning, when it was about midnight when the boys escaped, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and then early hours of the morning when Sitgo happened, and then we have the bad grass where Roland and Susan have their last interaction, and then the boys go off about dawnish.
Yeah.
And then we have the wee hours of the morning when Susan's on her way back to Seafront, the battle.
Yeah.
And now we're hitting noon.
Now
so
we're
it's like,
noon.
yeah, it's like
so
specifically,
it's progressing.
It's like progressing.
Yeah, it's progressing through the day. Also, when the showdown happened, there was silence, but otherwise the rest, when it had people in it, because we have been in the rest a couple times when it was like closed and it was, off hours. It was either really, really early in the morning and there's like no one there. But every other time we've been here, except for when the Traveler's Rest happened and like that hush happened, it's always been a very loud, boisterous environment, a lot of talking, a lot of laughing, a lot of music, and it just, there's a lot going on. And I feel like this would be really interesting in like the Flanagan series, because like if you constantly throughout the season show and really like just get people normalize the idea that this is always loud.
Yeah.
And then suddenly when like the Traveler's Rest and then this point happens, it's going to be like very startling, because it's going to be like, whoa, like this is always like a certain kind of like vibe.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's just dead fucking silent. Like, I mean, not dead silent entirely, but it's very fucking quiet. It looks like a goddamn funeral.
We see in your next section here that it is very quiet, and like there's a reason for that. But even to your point, it's a bar and the biggest one in the town. They mentioned that earlier in the book, of ranchers, fishermen, and farmers. Those are three type of people who like to drink.
Yeah,
and they like to drink hard.
Yeah, it's like if you ever go to a blue collar bar, like a blue collar bar.
You go up into like the ranches of Montana and Colorado and places like that, or you go into a place like the steel workers in like Pennsylvania and stuff like that.
Yeah,
or down in the oil fields in Texas. Yeah. You're going to get some loud bars. It should never be quiet. And to see it this quiet is unsettling.
Yeah.
And I think you're 100% right that throughout the season, you could see different aspects. I mean, one, you're going to get the showdown at the Traveler's Rest.
Yeah.
After the party. Two, you have the interaction with Sheemie and Cuthbert take place here outside the Traveler's Rest. See someone get thrown through a window and a fight, comes spilling out into the, like you always see in the Western, right?
And like hooting and hollering, because we know they're playing essentially craps. There's like a craps game.
There's a watch me table.
Yeah, there's like multiple kinds of party games. You've got Sheb on the piano. Like there's like, I just feel like it's gonna be it'll be largely be, and I think King's done a good job of that too. I shouldn't just always. I will admit my biases of the fact I'm a movie/TV guy. That's just that's one of my favorite mediums for art in general. But it's like even King does a good job of that, because like I said, even when we flashed it through our head of all the different times we've seen this bar again, except for like when it was like 4 or 5 a.m. when Coral was coming in, because that's when she realized like, oh, do people all know I'm an alcoholic because they're offering me a drink at 5 a.m?
Yeah,
but it's like then it's fucking dead because there's no one there because it's closed. Everyone's hungover, asleep, like that kind of thing.
That's when she gets the note to send Sheemie up to Rhea and everything like that.
So we've had like that's very like anytime that like it's been had a group of people, it's been very loud, and King's done a good job of showing us that. And of course, the showdown was an exception because everyone shuts up when death is in the room type thing. So
David says in the chat, the Steelworkers, we work hard and we play hard.
Yes, indeed.
That's a badly quoted Simpsons reference is what he says. And I knew you would know exactly. Yeah. I even know that one.
Yeah, keep reaching for that rainbow steel industry.
Yep.
Oh, man. So Sheb had tried to play a song that everyone liked, but a cowboy with a mutie mark on one cheek threatened him with a knife, telling him to shut the noise up if he wanted to keep his brains in his head. And I believe it kind of gives you the idea that the knife was very much near his ear. Yeah. So that would be a fun spot to be stabbed.
Yeah, let me clean out your ear from the other side.
Yeah. He would like to live 1,000 years if the gods would allow it. So he moved from the piano to the bar and helped serve drinks. The mood was confused and sullen. There would still be a bonfire and plenty of stuffy guys to go on it, but there would be no reap kisses, no dances, no riddles, no races, no pig wrestling, no jokes, no good cheer, damn it. No joyful farewell to the end of the year. Instead of festivity, there was murder in the dark, and the guilty had escaped. So now there was only hope for justice and not a certainty of it. This group stewed on this. This group stewing on this was as dangerous as a thunderstorm and wanted someone to focus on. They wanted someone to tell them what to do, and they wanted someone to toss in the fires like the days of Eld. And that is a ominous thing. And also, what an interesting thing that like the days of Eld. So we're talking like Arthur Eld. We have this idea of like that's like the high days, right? Like that's like the good old days. But they were burning people alive as a regular thing back then. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh wait, Farston's talking about democracy, and like some of these things like feel weird to us, and that one feels weird too, because it's like I get from our perspective like the ancient times is when people like did human sacrifices, but we also don't idolize the old days of like we don't look at
we have a similar thing in our culture where it's like, oh, the good old days of the 80s. It's like, like people could drink and drive, like it wasn't illegal, you didn't wear seatbelts, like we were kind of idiots back then, and it's the same thing. 30 years from now, people are going to look at the 2020s and be like, wait, you guys did X, Y, and Z? What the hell is wrong with you? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's always that nostalgic for, man, I miss that time frame. There's a lot of it right now for our generation, us being 40-year-olds now.
Yeah.
Millennials. There's a lot of it for the 90s where it's like, oh, God, I miss the 90s. And it's like that. It's like, there was some bad shit that happened in the 90s that we you just kind of we're just kind of glossing over and looking at the good parts, and that's kind of what I get the feeling is this. It's like the days of Eld when we did human sacrifice, which was brought up earlier in the book that we both have glossed over every time we've read it. We're just like, wait, they're talking about human sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, that one was where they're talking about when they would still go up in the mountains at times.
And they still do it. Yeah, sometimes in the backwoods. It's like, wait.
But it's just one of those things because, like, if you think like Arthurian, like, legend or whatever, like, you just have this, like, element of that where it's just this more noble or whatever. And it's like King's turning on its head a bit because it's like there is no, like, there may be nobility from their world's perspective, but for us to then find out also they were regularly, human sacrificing once a year to like
it's the same way
it's like kind of Aztec, right, where they would like sacrifice to the gods for like a good season or whatever. It's like, was that why they were doing it in the days of the Eld? Because like the fact that it's right around the time of like reap and like
100%
it has to be. It has to be.
But it's always like that thing where it's like, the founding fathers of the United States of America, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and George Washington were such good people. and they all owned slaves. It's like, ah,
Yeah.
so close, you
Yeah.
know, like that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Ooh.
ooh.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah. And then my note here, hey Sheb, we know you last a while, and your final resting place will be Tull, so take heart.
Yeah.
Now, your end in Tull is not all that great.
No.
But
No.
cowardly death too.
Yeah.
You know, using Allie as a human shield.
Yes.
So
Piece of shit.
not a noble way to go there. And then my next note, yeah, this is very dangerous. We've talked about all of this a few times since the murders, but you have not only the upset traditions, which puts a lot of people in a grumpy mood, but you also have you've traumatized them with the murder of their leaders, and then that now they're denied justice. So they are aggravated, angry, and without any leadership, and that is a dangerous cocktail.
Yeah.
Like this is literally like how like despots will rise in like the real world, right? If you have the right, ingredients of like, discontent with like a group of people, it's very easy to manipulate them and get them to do things that they may not otherwise do. So,
We've seen it time and time again throughout history where
yeah,
someone comes into power because people are just a little bit upset.
yeah,
Sometimes not a little bit, sometimes a lot. And
Yeah.
it's like they say the right things or they do the right things and everything like that. It's, yeah.
yeah.
100% know
Yeah,
exactly
so
what you're talking about.
so that's a very, very dangerous thing.
It is.
Like you got multiple things on top of each other too, right? So like I don't know, yeah, it's not good. Not
yeah,
good.
and this whole scene and everything like that, the way that this is being described, reminds me of small towns being rocked by like true crime big events. How the mood changes everyone in the town. Like we've all heard those stories where it's like all of a sudden 13 people are dead in this town of 80,000 people, and it's like, well, we never used to lock our doors, but now we always do. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. You see it you don't really see, you see it in like big cities as well. But like the small town aspect of it is what I'm thinking of. But
Yeah.
also like the Son of Sam in New York when he was active, and then the other one is L.A. with the I just spaced on his name.
I almost said Vertigo.
It's-
The Zodiac.
Not the Zodiac. That's San Francisco. L.A. has the.
He was down in
but
L.A.
the-
for a couple.
But the
of
Zodiac,
kills, too.
the Zodiac in San Francisco, absolutely. But there's the one
He had a couple kills right down near L.A.
in the 80s that really is the one I'm thinking about. I freaking just watched it's the Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
The Night
Yeah,
Stalker. Thank you.
Dirty Mike got you there.
Yeah, the Night Stalker, dude. L.A. changed overnight because of him. It's
Yeah.
just like when you see that, but like the small town aspect of it,
Yeah.
and then on top of it, you hit it really well with yours. The leadership is gone.
Yeah. Because
So-
people do need leaders in hard times, right?
Yeah,
Like I think of like
at
things
least
like
at least like the Night Stalker and Son of Sam, they still had the mayors of their towns going, "Whoa, calm down, people,"
or chief
the
of
chief of
police
police
or whoever. Yeah.
We've lost the mayor, the chancellor, the sheriff, and the sheriff's #1 deputy.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, let's not forget, the coffin hunters have fucked off. They don't
Yeah.
know that they're dead, but they're gone. They left town.
Yeah.
The head of the Horsemen's Association and his 1 and 2 guys have also left.
Yeah.
Literally, like we're on like number 14 or 15.
We're
guy.
at like the agricultural secretaries in charge of the country at this point now. You're so far down the fucking chain.
Miguel, the horses guy at Seafront is probably in charge at this point.
Probably. Yeah, indeed. And then that last line, not good.
No.
Again, yeah. Toss someone on the fire like in the days of El. That is just there's
that sends a shiver down your spine when you think about it in the right context. You're just like, oh no.
Yeah. Like, what was it? Was it the Aztecs or the Mayans that would sacrifice people to the sun because otherwise they would think if they didn't do it, like the sun may not come up again the next day type thing?
I think
Like, not that they did it every day, but there was like a certain point. Maybe it was when the days got shorter and they were like, oh my God, the sun's going to stop coming if we don't sacrifice something to it. Like, it's one of the two South American.
I think it's the Aztecs.
I think it was too. Also, David said the good old 1990s, last call for casual homophobia. And I'm not sure if you're riffing on the fact that you also put out the Simpsons joke. From the 90s.
If so, well done.
Yeah, if so, well, yeah, indeed, well done. And then let me move on. I have only one line here. Then the last of the noon chimes ended, and the Batwing doors opened, and 2 women walked in. And then I just paused here to say, yeah, that is exactly what we need. Because I think we all know. I mean, even the first time reading this,
Not two women. No.
Yeah,
That's the other part we forgot in our recap is Rhea shows up at Cordelia's house.
yes, and gets
This is why we're acting this way.
gets
Yeah.
refreshed.
Good, wholesome water. That's what refreshes me.
Yes, living water, right?
No, Tad, stop it. I'm not a vampire.
David says, well, actually wasn't going for that, but a funny coincidence.
Hey.
Many of them, so moving on here, many of them knew the crone in the lead, and several of them crossed their eyes with their thumbs to ward off her gaze. And I always like to kind of do what they're saying, because it's just
okay, so you're picturing like you
sign
cross
of the cross, but across your eyes.
But do you just cross your eyes? So
I guess maybe it could just be cross.
Yeah. So Tad's doing a cross like you cross yourself like you're Catholic.
Yeah, sign of the
up,
cross.
down, left, right, kind of thing. I'm just going right eye, left eye with my thumb, like cross your eyes.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And again, with their thumbs to ward off her gaze. So again, going back to superstition, a murmur ran through the room. It was Rhea, though she was withered away, covered in sores, but gave off an air of vitality, and her lips were red as though she had been eating winter berries. Oh, what was it? What was the queen that bathed in the blood of virgins?
Oh gosh, yeah.
One of the inspirations for Dracula.
Yeah,
yeah.
Bloody Mary.
Talking about vitality, and because although Rhea wasn't bathing in it, she would drink in it.
Elizabeth Bathory.
Is that who it was?
The queen Countess Elizabeth Bathory. B-A, and it's got a little squiggle over it. Thory.
Okay. So the woman behind her walked slowly and stiffly, and her face was pale white. Probably lacking a little bit of blood there.
Wonder why.
Rhea moved through the rest and wound up right under the romp. She told the crowd that most knew her, and those that didn't never wanted a love potion or needed, quote, the ram put back in your rod, or gotten tired of a nagging mother-in-law's tongue. So that's an interesting thing. Then said that the woman with her was the aunt of the girl who freed the murderers last night, and the murdered sheriff, and a young man with a wife with a kid on the way. She then said that he had his hands up and was defenseless, pleading for his life when the girl murdered him. I thought of you on this because I'm like, whenever there's any bit of someone manipulating the truth, you just get fucking incensed.
It pisses me
you
off.
You get incensed.
It really does. It really does.
So you've affected me to the point where whenever I see things like this, even if it's something you've never read or seen or whatever, I think of you because I'm just like, oh, Peter would love this.
I would not love it. God damn it, Tad.
Like Mrs. Carmody.
Oh, you're the worst.
And then the red lips, my first note there.
No. We're not talking about that. Move on.
And then my next note, this is interesting. I think we've been saying largely the town probably didn't know Rhea, at least those not old enough to remember when she was normally living there. But it turns out she did a lot of business with the town, because we talked about that last episode where it's we talked about how probably not every girl had to have their virginity checked by Rhea. That probably would have been people that were in kind of VIP situations, whether it was large, what's the word?
Landowners.
Yeah, transfer, there's a word for it.
Inheritance is going to change, so it's going to go from one family to another because it's a female marrying into another family and stuff
dowry.
Like that. Dowry. That's the word.
Yeah. So with that kind of thing, but one thing that now we're realizing that we were, not necessarily thinking about is what other businesses is this witch in? And it sounds like
quite a bit.
Viagra, and love potions
and murder,
and looks like murder.
Just the offing of mother-in-laws apparently is okay in Magus.
I mean, I don't think it would be clear, right? It'd probably just be like, oh, she dropped of a heart attack, so it probably wouldn't be
dropped of a heart attack while fending off and had 17 stab wounds or some shit like that.
Well, no, it's she's a witch.
No, I'm just saying
she's going to be able to, create
yeah,
circumstances. So this all
she probably used her fucking snake for it. That's what she probably did. She probably sold fucking Ermot's poison.
Good night, sweet
prince. No.
Good old Ermot.
No.
Now, do you think that Ermot had anything to do with Susan's dad's death? Wasn't it spooked by a snake? Or that was a story. We don't know if it was actually.
No, yeah. he was killed by Fran Langell. 100%, I believe. It's that thing where it's like, oh no, your father died because a snake spooked your father and it tossed him. So we have to have a closed casket. And she peeks in the casket and he's got 4 bullet holes in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Straight up, like a gangster.
Yeah.
Goodfellas execution, kind of thing. He probably got wrapped in a tarp and left in a cornfield too.
As I'll say, better than the casino execution.
Oh, God.
Goodfellas is much, much better than that.
Dude, that one is brutal.
David said the witch sells Viagra. Sweet. And then my next note, and she is starting to work the crowd up. This is not good.
Not good, and she's already giving them someone to take out all those negative feelings they have. Someone who just happens to be locked up in Seafront. Right down the road. We just covered this in my subchapter.
Yeah, and we covered it last time with the scene with Rhea and Cordelia.
Mm-hmm. That she has to pay.
Yeah, exactly. And they're both ready to see it all the way to her end. So
to their end, even if it comes to
it comes to it, yes. So moving on, the crowd muttered, and Rhea lifted a claw-like finger, and the crowd hushed. She began to admonish them, saying that strangers came in and they welcomed them in, fed them, and had fed them, and they had fed the town ruin in return, including the deaths of those they loved and depended on, and spoilage to the time of harvest, and gods knew what curse upon the time to come. More murmurs, now louder, and she had touched on their deepest fear. This year's evil would spread, might even snarl the new threaded stalk that had just begun to appear. She then told them that the murderers had gone and would likely not come back, which was just as well. Why should their strange blood stain their ground? But there was this other, one of their own, that had betrayed them. She grabbed Cordelia and told her to tell them. Cordelia told them that Susan had said that she would not be the mayor's gilly. He wasn't good enough for her. Cordelia then said that she then seduced Will Dearborn, and the price for her body was a fine position in Gilead, as his consort and the murder of Hart Thorin, and he had paid the price, and his friends had helped, and may have even had use of Susan as well as Will Dearborn did. And Reimer must have gotten in the way, or they just saw him and decided to kill him too. And the voices cried out in anger. Now, here's the one thing I don't think I didn't put a note for this. I meant to, but I forgot. I love the fact that, like, a fine position in Gilead. Again, we talked about this last episode, that Cordelia's entire focus is, like,
where you
position in society. So it's like, of course, that's what would come through, right? Like, and maybe she even believes that Susan is pursuing that, right? Like, yeah. Although I will say that she's a little bit out of her depth here because, like, Roland's not from Gilead, right? He was from somewhere else. Only
New Canaan.
Only Cuthbert was from Gilead of their stories, and the stories have not been pierced yet. We talked about that last time. How Jonas died not ever knowing
Roland's
his name anything other than Will Dearborn. So I don't know if that's necessarily just like a little flub by by King here, or if it's just her,
or if it's like a generalization of the inner baronies kind of thing.
The area.
It's like, like I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, but I don't live in Salt Lake City. I just live in the Salt Lake Valley kind of thing. Like, oh, you're from New York, New York City, but he lives on outside of the city kind of thing. Like that.
Yeah.
That aspect is what I'm more picturing.
It could be that, but it also could be a little bit of a mistake there. It
also could be that Rhea has told her exactly who Roland is, because Rhea knows.
Does she know, like, full on? I mean, she certainly, from the moment she saw him, she knew she thought he was a gunslinger. Then she saw his age. She's like, no, he's too young.
I think she has revised that and everything. So.
Could be.
We don't know exactly what the ball has shown her and everything. So
yeah,
it's very possible that Rhea knows everything. So
yeah. And then my first note here, Rhea is very Sylvia Pittston here, interloper, and basically telling them that they're to blame for welcoming the outsiders.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I see the parallels there with Sylvia Pittston. Like, she's basically just, putting it on them, where it's like, you let these outsiders in and that kind of thing. And like,
you let this evil into our town.
Yeah. And look what it's caused. So it's like, that feels very Sylvia Pittston.
It does.
So, then she is spinning from admonishing them to feeding on their fears and superstitions.
Not just that, but their biggest fear.
Their biggest fear.
Biggest superstition is that this somehow will carry a curse that will affect the livestock and the harvest.
Yeah, and
Which
we talked about that earlier in this book club, where it's like in a town like this, like a bad harvest could be the end of the town, like this, and that could be the death of a good chunk of the town, like because this is like a very much a hand to mouth society. Like there isn't grocery stores, right? Like what you live on for like the winter months is what you are able to harvest during the summer and fall,
or
right?
if you're a rancher, what you're able to purchase because you sold your livestock and everything like that.
Yeah.
So you give the farmer 3 pigs, he gives you enough potatoes to get you through the winter. You know, that kind of bartering system.
Yeah. So ultimately, like that would be one of their biggest fears. And honestly, I would say that's beyond superstition because that's a rightful concern.
Yeah.
Because like that is ultimately the knife. What is it? The knife of Damocles dangling above every one of their heads. That's just the nature of their life. Like you never
really bad freeze means that people die.
Yeah, people will die. So it's like I almost would almost excuse their superstition in that sense because literally that's just like, and I think throughout like history of our world, it's the same way where it's just like you're always concerned about that bad harvest or like a late freeze or early freeze, like just whatever it might be, because it's like that could be the difference between like your children dying,
a flood or a fire that wipes out half the crops, that kind of shit.
Yeah. So then she starts to play on the fact that they will never get justice from the boys.
Yeah, and my note, just adding on to that, and who wants it? I mean, we don't care if we spill their blood. They're not from here. But so pushing them to seek justice somewhere else with someone who was from here, who is one of us, who should know better. We don't care about the Gilead boys. Those boys, have different raisings and different morals and stuff like that. But someone from here knows better.
Yeah.
They would not do that, right? And if they did, we'd have to punish them.
Yeah. Yes. Then the coup de grace, she has Cordelia really paint the picture, making Susan the driver of everything that happened. And the sad part is there's some truth into what Cordelia is saying, right? She's just kind of spinning it, and she's just kind of twisting real things that Susan said, then adding some fluff around it, and kind of like she's doing like the classic like just politician thing, really.
Well, the big thing is that Susan says she doesn't want to go through with it. This is where Cordelia is changing it, where she doesn't want to go through with it to she's not going through.
I thought that last conversation they had, that big blow up they had, she basically said some of those things where it's like I'm never going to his bed.
Like I think that was more with Roland. I don't think she ever said that to Cordelia because that would give away too much. But I get what you're saying, and I'm with you on that. And it's just coming down to the fact that my note here, I'll jump to my note because it really kind of plays with this. She really does pull the perfect strings to get to them, including Susan is too good for being a ghillie. Cordelia talked about this in a fight with Susan, that it isn't a degrading profession. Yeah. It is an honorable position for Susan, and now all of a sudden she's too good for it.
Yeah.
And that's really the aspect that Susan kind of gave Cordelia. Whether it's true or not, Susan says, I'm not going to be his. I'm never going to his bed.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. You pushed me into this. And like they fought about that back and forth. Like, you pushed me into this. Like, this was your idea. This wasn't my idea. I didn't come up with this and then ask for your help. You pushed me into doing, hey, you should go be the mayor's ghillie and stuff like that. So, so when she pulls that out here, because everyone in the town is not going to think that this is like a bad position. Like for us, a side piece, or I'm trying to think if there's an actual word for it, mistress.
Yeah, mistress
kind of thing is
but that's actually somewhat of an honorable thing in this society.
That's what I'm saying.
Because like Roland is from a ghillie of Arthur Eld.
Exactly.
Like it's not like the true, whatever. And it's like, and like ultimately, like that's the high point of their society at this point, right? So it's like, it's not necessarily as mistress. It's not how we would view mistresses in our world.
Concubine. Thank you. That's another one. Is concubine is like they're kind of like frowned upon and like shunted, and they're not at state dinners. It's still the wife and everything like that. But look at the state dinner for this one. Yeah, he was on his right hand side, and where was Olive? At the other end of the table with the lesser people and everything like that. So it's like Cordelia pulling this out here, saying like, "Oh, it's beneath her." I don't know why, but that really resonated with me.
Yeah, because I think that's ultimately going to really put salt of the earth people that are here.
Yes,
there's a highfalutin element to that. No blue collar person's not going to hate. Like
we hate it. We hate it when celebrities do stuff like that. Like grocery shopping. No, that's beneath me. What? You're better than me because you have an assistant that does your grocery shopping for you?
It's a universal thing if you want to get. And again, this is a town of blue collar people, so it's a perfect thing for her to throw in there. To manipulate this stuff. Brock says concubine is a legitimate consort of nobility.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then my next note here, or my last note before we move on here, she knows what she's doing, like a demagogue who knows exactly how to manipulate any situation and any group based on their moods. She is building them up to the idea that she wants them to arrive at. Master manipulation and crowd work here.
And you're talking about both of them, Cordelia and Rhea.
It is all Rhea. This
right?
is Rhea's.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, and yes, like I'm not going to excuse Cordelia. Cordelia certainly shares a part in this, but Rhea's she's the taskmaster here. So I'm putting it on her more than anyone. So. So moving on here to finish off the subchapter, then Rhea tells Cordelia to tell them what they needed to do to avoid this curse spreading into the future. Again, what an perfect thing to say, because what if the threaded stalk starts to go away? What if our crops go to shit? Like, that's death for everyone.
What if the fish leave?
Yeah. Cordelia, who draws a deep breath and then says, and I have a direct quote for the rest of it here, "Take her. Ye must take her. I say it in love and sorrow, so I do. Silent their eyes." And that's just not her quote. And then back to her quote here, "Paint her hands." And then that's the end of her quote. The glass gaze of the thing on the wall, looking at stuffed judgment over the waiting room. And then she goes on again. "Charyou Tree," Cordelia whispered. "They did not cry their agreement, but sighed it, like an autumn wind through stripped trees." And my
end of the subchapter.
End of the subchapter. My first note, fuck.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like
that's not good.
That
and
sums
again,
it up perfectly,
just
Ted.
the way I was, and that's the reason I was kind of building my notes the way I was, because like you really need to appreciate exactly how good Rhea did this entire thing. This was orchestrated fucking perfectly. This is like she had a goddamn team of 12 people as a PR team to tell the politician exactly the way to build his speech to get people fucking riled up for something. Like of course she would know, right? A witch would know how to do that kind of stuff. But
the puppeteer with the strings, right?
Yes, exactly. And then so back to my previous point, Rhea knew that they were getting here and played this crowd perfectly to get exactly to this moment. So, and also to King's credit, I like that they didn't cry out an agreement. I feel like that would have been a way that a lot of people would have gone. Maybe even the first thought of, may have even been his first thought of how to go. Like that cheer of like anger and like,
it's like a rallying cry.
Yeah, and like honestly, like there's just an element that would not have been good. It would have been poorly written in my opinion. And I don't know if King would have wrote it that way. I don't know if I would have necessarily noticed it. But the fact that King wrote it this way makes me see the difference.
How much better it is.
And understand that, because honestly, this isn't an open thing. This isn't something they're doing in their town squares. Again, this is something that some people, small groups, go up into the mountains and do this still in the dark of night type thing. This isn't going to be something that they're all going to be very like happy about. This is going to be something that they're all like almost feel resigned that this is what we got to do type thing. And like it's more of a resigned acceptance more so than like a yes, like bloodlust. It's not
bloodlust. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bloodlust. And so huge credit to King, because again, I think that a lesser writer, this would have been like the whole pitchforks go up in the air and everyone fucking.
And all of a sudden we're storming after Frankenstein and his monster.
100%. I'm glad he didn't go that route.
No, I think it's a little bit just a smidge further than that. My note here, almost like not a hooray moment, but oh, thank God we have a solution.
Yeah, and a leader.
I think
because that's the other thing we talked about.
Someone's told me what to do.
Yeah,
and I know what I have to do to save my farm, to save my ranch, to save my kids, my family, my town, whatever they care about the most.
Yeah,
no matter what where they are on this scale of. Oh, it's the most important thing is my ranch, or the most important thing is my wife and my kids, or the most important thing is my position in the community, like Cordelia. There's other people like that here. It's just like it's like almost like it's a huge sigh of relief for them that they're just like, oh, thank God we have something to do. That's what I took it as.
They can offset a lot of the fears, but also it's direction. Because again, that is the one thing that I mentioned early in the subchapter, but I did kind of like not keep hitting, is the lack of leadership. Like the fact you've basically decapitated this entire town.
Yeah. That's
going to be a big part of the issue here. So it's like you've now given someone to give them direction.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they need. That's what people need. I mean, you know, I'm not talking about anyone in the current day, but it's like Giuliani on 9/11, George W. Bush on 9/11. Those people were very important to the entire country in that immediate day or two of 9/11, right? Like there was just, we needed that. That was such a shocking moment for everyone that was alive in America, that it's like you needed those people to kind of stand in and just put the hand on the shoulder and go, you know, like, we'll be okay. We're going to get through this.
We're going to be okay.
Like, yeah.
Here's what you need to do next.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't remember which politician it was. I think it might have been Senator Hatch, which is the Utah senator. Might have just been like a week or so after, maybe 10 days after, was like, it's time to start going back into your routine. Time to start moving forward. And I just remember as a 15-year-old being like, oh, okay, it's okay for me to be normal again. Like it's okay for that and everything. And then just like one last note here before we jump into subchapter 3, it's just like, I think the biggest thing also is that it's giving them an out for how they can stop it, because when you feel helpless and you don't know what to do, it's so demoralizing. It's so upsetting, and that's why you have 200 people sitting in the most loud bar in all of Hambry,
and it looks like a funeral.
Or
sounds like a funeral.
It's because they don't know what to do. They have no leadership. They have leadership now. They have something to do. And that's the end of the subchapter.
Exactly.
It's like, king.
Yeah, perfect king ending in terms of subchapters.
Yes.
He's really good at that kind of stuff for sure. So, yeah, very fitting. Let's move on to subchapter 3.
All right, subchapter 3.
Oh, and also, David did say, I know it's not Charlie Sheen, but every time I hear Charyou Tree, that's what I think of as Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. I get it. So subchapter 3 starts. Sheemie ran after the bad coffin hunter and Susan Sai until he could literally run no more. His lungs were afire, and the stitch which had formed in his side had turned into a full cramp. He pitched forward onto the grass of the drop, his left hand clutching his right armpit, grimacing with pain. He lay there for some time with his face deep in the fragrant grass, knowing that Susan was getting further and further away. But it would do no good to start running again until the stitch was good and gone. If he tried to hurry the process, the stitch would simply come back and lay him low again. So there he lay, lifting his head to look at the tracks left by Susan and the bad coffin hunter. I know I didn't have a note for this, but reading it now, I love that he always calls him the bad coffin hunter.
Yeah.
As if there's a good one.
Yeah.
Right when he was ready to try and get to his feet, Capricoso bit him. Not a nip, mind you, a good, healthy chomp. Capi had a difficult 24 hours, and he hadn't liked to see the author of his misery laying on the grass, apparently taking a nap.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I have to imagine that the colder air is probably rough when pushing yourself super hard like this. And I remember that as a kid.
Go for a run in January.
Going out in recess and playing. Like it just, that cold air cut you a lot deeper when you're trying to like run and exert yourself on the playground and stuff. So I know what he's getting at here. And also, what's the worst possible thing if you got like a cramp or something and you try to work your way through it is like if it starts to go away but then it redoubles.
Yep.
That's even worse. So yeah, I could see what he's talking about here.
Yep. Gotta let it stop before you can go on.
You're just gonna make it worse. So yeah.
And then I love the idea that Capi being smart enough to recognize Sheemie and understand that, hey, that's the guy that messed up my day. I'm gonna go bite his ass.
Plus Capi's he's a temperamental beast.
He is, absolutely. And then my last note here. Mule bites are incredibly painful. Ranchers put them with their flocks herds to kill coyotes, which they do because they hate canines, and so their bite force can fracture human bones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's and when King describes it, it is not a nip, a good healthy chomp. So Sheemie doesn't hear him coming and gets bit, dude, and on the ass.
Yeah.
One of my cats today got my wife on the backside of her bicep, the backside of your upper arm, where it's like all flesh and everything, like fleshy and everything. Bit her good, and she's like, "It's not that he bit me hard; it's where he bit me."
Yeah.
Your ass can't be much better, right? And from a mule bite either. Yeah. Ow.
Not a lot of lazy boys in this world.
No.
So
no. Sheemie cries out in pain, swearing he rocketed to his feet. There was nothing so magic about a good bite on the ass to clear your head. He whirled around and yelled at Capi. "Why did you do that, you mean old sneak of a Capi?" rubbing his bottom vigorously with large tears of pain in his eyes. That hurt like a big old son of a bitch. Capi extended his neck to the max length and bared his teeth in the satanic grin only mules and dromedaries could command and braid. To Sheemie, it sounded like laughter.
And my note, Sheemie and Capi, name a more iconic and dysfunctional duo.
Getting bit, my note here, getting bit on the ass by a mule, then it laughing at you. Poor Sheemie.
Yeah.
That dude doesn't deserve this. We love Sheemie.
I think Sheemie needs to take that thing to the glue factory. That's what I'm thinking.
So going on, the mule's lead was trailing behind its back hoofs, and Sheemie reached for it. Capi dipped his head to inflict another bite, but Sheemie gave him a good hard whack across the side of his narrow head. Capi blinked and snorted in surprise. Sheemie says that Capi had that coming because he will have to squat for a week when shitting. He climbs aboard the mule and winces as he settles himself. Capi made no attempt to buck him off. This was good luck, Sheemie thought, despite the pain he was having. At least he wouldn't have to walk. He kicked the mule into motion and yelled at Capi. Go on, stupid. Hurry up. As fast as you can, you old son of a bitch. In the course of the next hour, Sheemie called Capi, you old son of a bitch, as often as possible, and he had discovered, as many others before him, that only the first cuss word is really hard. After that, there's nothing quite like them for relieving one's feelings.
Yeah,
that's the end of the subchapter there.
That's true. Also, earlier, David said blue chambray collar when we were talking about blue collar.
Hey.
Got to king it up a little bit.
Got to king it up a little bit. Got it. Sheemie's heading towards Susan, so we have some hope now.
Yeah.
Something good happened. The boys are okay, we think. We haven't visited them since last episode, and Roland being in the ball. But Susan is not. Hopefully Sheemie is able to do something to help her.
Yeah, my note. I mean, Roland's not okay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't see your note.
Yeah, he is not okay right now.
No.
And we know a lot more than a lot of almost probably anyone else, just
Yeah.
how dangerous that fucking thing is.
It
so
is. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then my last note here, I can vouch for the swearing philosophy theory here, that it's the first one that opens the floodgates.
Yeah, indeed. All right, moving over to subchapter 4. So Sheemie followed Susan's trail that cut through the drop towards the coast to Seafront. He dismounted and wondered what to do next. He had no doubt this is where they had come. Pylon and the Coffin Hunter's horse were tethered in the shade. No one paid him any mind, but he worried Miguel might. He thought he would not let Miguel drive him away, even if he raised the alarm and the Coffin Hunter killed him. He was ready to die if it served a purpose. He stood there wishing he were smarter so he could come up with a plan. He stood there for an hour and then 2, and it felt like his chance to help Susan was slipping away. He decided to go. The courtyard seemed mostly deserted, but then as he was ready to move in, the man he feared the most appeared from the stables. Miguel was covered in reap charms and was very drunk. And my note, come on, Sheemie. Standing there for 2 hours? Jesus Christ, man.
Gotta wait for his opening. Gotta wait for his chance.
Oh, yeah.
It's better to know where the enemy is than just to rush in.
I don't know. That 2 hours? Good God, they could have killed her in that time. For fuck's sake. And then my next note, I feel for Sheemie, but man, waiting around that long, that's tough.
That's a long time to
tough.
wait.
Yeah.
I saw a video the other day of a woman who has ADHD saying, like, this is the worst thing that I've ever had to do to myself. And what she did is she put a timer on her laptop, put her phone down, and then sat behind it so she couldn't see the screen, and she just had to sit there in her own thoughts for 5 minutes while the timer counted down. And then she like sped it up, and she was like fidgeting and rolling around on the floor and everything like that. And I'm just like, I wonder how bad that would be for me.
Yeah.
You know how I am.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And then he's ready to die. So Sheemie, he's a real one.
Oh, he's awesome.
So
that's my note. He's just I love Sheemie.
Yeah, indeed. So then going on here, Miguel's eyes were fierce and bewildered. And he cried, who had done this, and looked up into the demon moon. Sheemie did not like him, but his heart cringed for him. It was bad luck to look directly at the demon. Miguel yelled again who had done this at the moon and squared up as though he was going to box an answer out of the moon. He tripped over Clay's horse's leg and fell back against the wall. He drank deeply from a jug he held, and then he seemingly passed out. And when the jug finally dropped out of his hand, Sheemie thought it was about time for him to move in because he was out. But he was worried because Miguel could be tricky. So that's a fun thought. He waited until he heard snoring. He led Capi into the courtyard, cringing at every hoof clop. He got to the main entrance, which is something he never thought he would enter. He opened it and went in. He expected someone to be there to catch him, but no one was, and he began to move in. But found the place. It found it to be a place of murder that was filled. It felt like it was full of ghosts. So I love Sheemie's continued superstition with the moon. Despite his age, he has the mind of a child, which isn't surprising necessarily, but it's just, I love, like, he's probably been the most superstitious character we've seen in this entire story. So it just, I love that that's consistently coming through.
It is, yeah.
So,
and I the part I love is it's so smart of Sheemie to make sure that Miguel isn't faking.
yeah.
Because what if Miguel saw him and then went out there to try and lure him in? Because Miguel hates Sheemie. We saw that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Then again, with the bad feelings from Seafront, it's that the overall bad feelings across the entire town, but now he's seeing Seafront itself as a place of murder. That's kind of an interesting vibe for sure, right? Because like it's kind of one of those things again where like a place of tragedy, right? Like there's still people that go to Dealey Plaza and say that it has a certain vibe to it. I've certainly heard the same thing about certain concentration camps where people go and visit and stuff. Like there's just there's the
site of a couple places here in Utah that people are just like the Mountain Meadows Massacre is one where they're just like you go there and you get this uneasy feeling. I've also heard people talk about some of the canyons where supposedly Bundy hunted.
Not true, but yes.
Not true, but people have the rumors. And
there's also the rumor there's a
down.
cabin up there, too, that everyone says that he owned, but it's like, you've read enough things on him where it's like, dude, he was a fucking law student going to the U. He's not going to own property up a fucking canyon. But it's like one that whoever owns it gets pissed because people break into it. It's like, oh, this is where he murdered women. It's like, dude, no. Like, he lived in this valley. He primarily was in this valley. He wasn't going up fucking canyons and shit. Like, but yes, that's one of those fun urban legends. I always love to throw water on it. Sorry for anyone that's listening. It's not from Utah because it means nothing to you. But yes. Now, last time I was reading one of the big books on him, though, there was a few addresses that were mentioned, and I went, and they're still... like his apartment is still there. Sadly, the Redwood Drive-In is not there anymore. That
has been repurposed now.
Yeah, 70-something years that was a drive-in, and that was the thing that got him caught.
I went there and saw movies there as a kid and everything. I even took my wife there once when we were dating. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So moving on here, Susan was here somewhere. He moved into the reception hall, his steps echoing more and more, and the many portraits of past mayors all seem creepy to him, and their eyes seem to follow him. And all I'm going to say is I love pictures that feels like the eyes are following you. Those are my favorite kind of pictures.
No, those are the worst.
Like was it Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah, that painting is terrible.
Great stuff. Love it. One particularly seemed to fix him with a gaze, questioning why he was in the mayor's house, and he told the painting off, making him feel a little bit better. He then moved to the dining hall where there were still half-eaten meals on the tables, and it made the gravity of it all hit him really. Hambry had changed, and it would never be the same again. He ate some of the food. It had been a long, foodless day. He then moved to the door that led to a corridor, and he moved down it, and he heard steps that seemed ghostly. Maybe they were the steps of the late mayor. Again, I love Sheemie, dude.
Jeez.
He's just the most superstitious. He's like a freaking cat when it comes to like being scared. A hand gripped his arm and he almost shrieked, but the woman's voice told him not to, and he managed to keep it in and turned. And it was Olive Thorin dressed in rancher's clothes. He figured she would now raise the alarm, but she asked if he would come for the girl. He thought grief had done good for her. She seemed less plump and oddly younger. He nodded. She said good, and she could use his help. He gasped, not believing what he had just heard. She asked if he thought she believed she had anything to do with the murder of her husband. She said she may be fat and not speedy on her pins anymore, but she's not a complete idiot. She told him to come on. Seafront was not a safe place for Susan anymore, and too many of the town knew that she was here. And that is the end of the subchapter.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's starting to come together a little bit. This is encouraging. I said that last episode where it's like, hey, Sheemie's following the path of Susan. I'm like, okay, we at least got a slight hope here. This isn't the highest hope, but we got some hope. And Sheemie has been relatively crafty throughout this story.
Yeah.
So, that's definitely a good thing. So, great horror here. Maybe not with most characters, but in the active imagination and superstitions of Sheemie, this has almost some Overlook vibes to me. Like this whole way this whole thing's written. I mean, I know I'm just recapping it, certainly not necessarily going into it nearly as deeply as King does, but like even you as like a logical person reading this that, you know, doesn't have the same superstitions and fears as Sheemie, even you reading it, you're like, God, this is really fucking creepy.
This is pretty creepy.
Yeah. Plus, like, you know, if he's ever been here, you know, I know he says he's never been through the front door, but it's like if he's ever been there through a servant's exit or whatever in the back, whatever, like he never would have been here in a time that there wasn't full of people, right? There would have been a celebration, there would have been a gathering, there would have been a town meeting, he never would have been here in this. It's kind of like we talked about with like the Traveler's Rest. It was one thing when we've always seen it full, but that one scene we had where Coral was going there first thing in the morning, even for us, it was kind of creepy because it's like, whoa, this has always had one context.
It's always jarring, yeah.
And now suddenly it's just fucking empty. And it's like, have you ever been in a mall?
Dude, that was what my brain was thinking of, is if you've ever been in, there's a mall here near us that has a movie theater.
Yeah.
And it used to be like the Dollar Theater when I was a kid. It let out one time, and they usually had like after hours, like the mall's closed, but the movie theater goes until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night with late movies. Usually you just exit out through the movie theater entrance. There was one time, I don't know what was going on, but the security guards forgot to close the part that goes to the mall.
Into the main mall, yeah.
So me and my friends, we walked through like the deserted mall, and dude, so fucking creepy.
Yeah,
man.
well, I worked in a mall for a little bit.
Yeah, you did. So you would be there after it closed.
After, yeah.
I forgot about that job. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
a movie store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suncoast.
You were like Jay and Silent Bob over. No, the clerks from Clerks.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
That was a good job because I'm a big movie guy, so that was a well-fitting job. There's a couple things I always wanted to do as a kid. Work in a movie store like Hollywood or Blockbuster, that never happened. Work in a movie theater, that never happened. Working in a movie store was a good compensation or runner-up prize, and then working at a haunted house, another one as a kid that I just dreamed about and I never accomplished.
You can still do that, Ted.
I don't know about that.
You could.
You got to be like a high school kid to be doing that nonsense.
No, you'd be like the director kind of person where you're on the walkie-talkie telling them, like looking at the cameras, being like, the girl, third from the back.
All I'm saying is let me design a haunted house. Let
Tad, we want people to live.
No, if I could take someone out, that would be the ultimate prize. I'd put it on the fucking door. 3 fatalities last year. That's what I'd have.
The haunted house that actually kills people.
Not on purpose. I mean, we're just going to
But not on purpose.
Yeah, we're just going to startle their hearts a little bit. So, and then I love the food, making him really understand the town would never be the same. In real life, it's often these non sequiturs that can really register so much deeper than the more direct reminders of an event. So this feels very real. Like, for instance, the one that hit me, and I actually only saw it in the last probably 5 or so years, is have you ever seen that picture of an overflow parking, I think for the Giant Stadium that World Trade Center people parked in? And it was like a few days after, and there was just the cars that were left there are the ones that would never, the people never came back to.
you would come from all parts of New Jersey. You would park at the Meadowlands Stadium, and then there were buses that would bring you into New York City. And the victims of 9/11 would never return for those cars. I think you sent it.
Probably, because I remember seeing it. It just kind of like blew my mind. It's weird how much like new shit we still keep finding. Like I also saw one probably last year or so that was like a receipt from an inside store inside one of the World Trade Centers, and the timestamp, it was like 2 minutes after the first plane hit, and
so the plane hit. They finished the transaction.
But I think it was also the other tower, so it's like literally at that moment the world is fucking ending, and this person's still just buying their fucking bagel or coffee or whatever the fuck it was, and it's just the eeriest thing to see because it's just like, dude, like 2-3 minutes ago, like a plane just hit one of the two towers, and you're fucking here buying your morning whatever. It was just the strangest fucking thing. So again, it's those non sequitur things that like it's not necessarily seeing like the hole in the skyline as much as it is sometimes seeing like that weird normal thing seemingly that's just like, there's a bunch of cars in a parking lot, but then finding out what it is, like that just makes it hit home in a much deeper way. So I think from Sheemie's perspective, and I think King, of course, writing this before 9/11 or anything, he's just seen it from that perspective of probably whatever tragedies he may have seen in his life, you know, where it's just like sometimes it is those oddball things that really just make something hit home, where it's like, fuck,
the world's never going to be the same kind of thing. You know?
Like I know Jackie Kennedy with the blood covered clothes when LBJ was being sworn in
on Air Force One
is a huge picture that really resonated with people, where it's just like, fuck, this isn't just the president died, like this lady just lost her husband. These, there's the John Jr. saluting the casket. Like there's those certain images that just that puts it in a different perspective for people. So
yes, it does.
Kind of cool to see that from Sheemie's perspective here.
It does. And then I love the description of Olive Thorin looking younger and less plump. Probably has something to do with the fact that she could stop stressing about her husband and his lover and everything.
Yeah, from our
I think
perspective,
that-
we can understand why that is.
Yeah, I think that a load is off of her now because like
Yeah.
we saw her just it was a few episodes ago, quite a few subchapters ago, where she sneaks into her husband's room after her nightmare.
The bird nightmare,
The
yeah.
bird nightmare.
The bird
where
chapter,
She's just
yeah.
like this whole book. She's just been like this nervous wreck and everything like that. And she has this big, huge thing stressing her out. But now that big, huge thing is gone, she's
Yeah.
reverting back to probably the
A
Olive
normal
that
person, yeah.
the Olive that Mayor Thorin fell
No.
in love with.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
The strong, and it says that she's in rancher's clothes, so she's not
ready.
she's not adverse to hard work and everything like that.
Yeah,
right?
but
Probably.
do you think that's I think the first time I read that I thought maybe she was just trying to disguise herself a little bit, but I think now I've come around more to like that she's probably just dressing that way because she's gonna be more useful if
Yeah.
something were to happen, right? You don't want to be wearing like a dress or something like that if you need to like
I think it's if I remember
or ride a
right,
horse
I
if you're
think
going to
it's-
escape
yeah,
with
I think
Susan,
it's-
right?
If I remember right, she comes from a big ranch, and that's where she married the mayor and moved into the mayor's mansion and stuff like that. So she's just reverting back to her upbringing and stuff like that. You know, like she's probably not adverse to horses. She's probably just like Susan and everything.
Yeah.
Susan gets all dolled up for the pageantry and stuff like that, but when you need it, she's a real one.
Yeah.
When she needs it, she puts on a pair of trousers and rides a horse, just like Olive is here.
Yeah, but I just wonder if she's doing it in prep for like the fact that like if they're
Oh,
going to make a
they're
quick
done.
getaway,
They're
you
done.
can't wear a dress if
Yeah.
you're going to be trying to ride a horse the fastest
Or
fuck out
run
of town.
or anything
any
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's originally I was thinking like, oh, she's going to disguise herself a little bit, but it's like honestly, can she disguise herself? That was my first thought when I first read
Yeah.
it, like however many fucking decades ago now. But now it's just like, well, duh, no, it's the fucking first lady of this town. Like,
Yeah.
changing of clothing is going to make people mistake her for someone else. So it's probably more she's just kind of readying herself for whatever might come.
All right,
so.
let's get to it.
And then Olive is a fucking real one as my last note here. I remember the first time being a lot more hopeful at this point now that she showed up, because like Sheemie is capable. Sheemie's helped us with a lot in this story, but I'm not sure if I was sitting there with a lot of confidence going, yeah, Sheemie's going to find out a way to like overpower these Vicaros and save Susan.
Yeah.
But now having Olive here, like someone that's lived in this place for a long time, might also still have some sway. Probably not as much as she did, but she might have some sway still. Like I'm like, okay, now we got a fucking pair here, right?
Yeah.
Now we got a fucking tag team that can potentially do something.
Now we got
So,
two basically V2. Like we know that there's two Vicaros outside of Susan's door, so
yeah.
hopefully these two can come up with a plan to get her out.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to shit on Sheemie because, like I said, Sheemie's been one of the most useful motherfuckers in this story, to be
But
honest.
when someone tells him what to do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and even he, earlier, that kind of did break my heart a little bit when he's like, he wished he was smarter so he could think of a plan.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just a sad...
It's like,
that's a sad...
Sheemie, come here, give me a hug.
Yeah, exactly. You want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
Just be careful for his butt because Capi
Yeah,
has him a little sore there.
Don't touch the butt. So we're moving over to subchapter 5, and I got to tell you, man.
Yeah. I purpose because usually you pick first. I pick first. And
Yeah.
I was like, I almost went the other route to have this subchapter. I'm like, you know what?
I'm glad you left it for me. I'm very happy that I'm the one to do it. But I will tell you guys, this will be a little bit long. This will be a little bit intense, and I think I have it structured right where we're going to be able to kind of understand. So
Yeah.
to
So I'm
start
just
off,
gonna say I'm gonna pat myself on the back, but I let you have this one.
I appreciate that. And also what I love about having this subchapter is means that I didn't get the Rhea subchapter.
And honestly, I wanted the Rhea chapter too. I was like,
Yeah.
I want Rhea.
You're like,
So,
I want that
Rhea,
one.
but I want that one. I'm
And
like,
then later on, you got the Rhea one. You went later on. You're like, oh, okay, Peter gets that one. That's a fair trade.
yeah.
So I will preface this that there is a voice speaking. So when I say quote, that's the voice speaking, and then I will revert back to what basically is internal monologue from Roland's perspective. It's
Yeah.
basically how this subchapter is going to go. If there's anything different, I will try to catch it. So be patient with me. So quote, Roland. He will hear this voice in uneasy dreams for the rest of his life, never quite remembering what he was dreaming, only that his dreams leave him feeling ill somehow. Walking restlessly, straightening pictures in loveless rooms, and listening to the call of Mozine in alien town squares. Also, I'm going to stop. I tried my hardest in this one, unlike other subchapters, to not use my own words, a lot of this is pretty much copied, typed out, because I feel like it needs that from King, not me butchering King's mastery here. So a lot of this is King. There might be little twerks here and there. So again, quote, Roland of Gilead. This voice, which he almost recognizes, a voice like his own, a psychiatrist from Eddie or Susanna's or Jake's When and Where, would say it is his own voice, the voice of his subconscious, but Roland knows better. Roland knows that often voices that sound like our own, when they speak in our heads, are the most dangerous intruders. Quote, Roland, son of Stephen. The ball is taking him first to Hambry and to Mayor's house, and he would see more of what is happening there, but then it takes him away, calls him away in a strangely familiar voice, and he has to go. He has no choice, but unlike Rhea and Jonas, who simply watched the ball and the creatures inside it who spoke soundlessly, the creatures who spoke soundlessly.
I always forget they can't hear anything.
Yeah, there's no sound when Jonas and Rhea are in the ball.
Yeah.
Roland, is inside the ball, but he isn't inside the ball. He is part of its endless pink storm. I worded that wrong. Sorry, guys. So pausing there, catch my breath. My note, Eddie, Suzanne, and Jake showing up here in Roland's head is wild. I remember it throwing me for a loop for the first time I read it, because the first time I read through these was actual reading, not audiobooks. So I just remember rereading this section a couple times trying to understand, because this is like Roland's internal monologue, but it's 14-year-old Roland's internal monologue. Yeah. Not Roland telling the story to Jake, Susanna, Oy, and Jake on the turnpike. This is 14-year-old Roland going, oh, like a psychiatrist from Eddie's, Jake, Susanna's, and Jake's When and Where. And I'm like, wait, why the fuck is 14-year-old Roland thinking that? So it's just like, I just remember it throwing me for a really big loop, but then I remember that we're inside the ball. And we'll see that a lot of shit gets shown here to 14-year-old Roland that he has no business knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. I love Roland rejecting the psychiatrist's thoughts. That's just so Roland.
Oh, yeah, that it's an intruder, not his own subconscious. It is. It's great.
Just quintessential Roland.
Then my last note, we are seeing what is happening to Roland inside the ball, but it is different than Rhea and Jonas using the ball. Is that good or bad? Which one do you kind of lean towards?
It's got to be bad. It fucked the other two up so bad, and now Roland is actually in it. You know,
he's not just looking into the ball and seeing things; he's in the ball
and hearing stuff. Like, so nothing else, just that added element of like hearing where they couldn't. Right?
They're at this level. He's at this level, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So going on, quote: Roland, come, Roland, see. So the storm first whirls him first up and away. He flies across the drop and through stacks of air, first warm and then cold. So he has feeling.
Yeah.
He is not alone in the pink storm, which bears him west along the path of the beam. Sheb flies past him, his hat cocked back on his head as he sings Hey Jude at the top of his lungs. His nicotine-stained fingers plink at keys that are not there. Sheb doesn't seem to realize the storm ripped his piano away. Quote, Roland, come. The voice says, the voice of the storm, the voice of the glass, and Roland comes. The romp flies past him, glassy eyes glowing with pink light. A scrawny man in farmer's overalls goes flying past, his long red hair streaming out behind him. Life for you and for your crop, he says. Something like that anyway. And then he's gone. Next, like a weird spinning windmill, comes a torture device, Roland thinks. It is an iron chair equipped with wheels, and the boy gunslinger thinks the Lady of Shadows without knowing why he thinks it or what it means. So, pausing there again, real fast, just back what I said before. This is not Roland on the turnpike. This is 14-year-old Roland that we're hearing inside his head, which is what it just said there.
Yeah.
The boy gunslinger thinks. So, okay, your note.
This feels very Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely.
Like when you're seeing like the characters fly by her and stuff like this. Just this all
storm.
Feels, I will say David David has a different interpretation, which actually I share. With that last line with Eddie and Susanna from previous, I think that's actually is the modern Roland's thought process. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's Roland telling them. Like I think because again, overall the entirety of the story is Roland telling them this.
Yeah.
So that line I do think is probably more from like modern Roland. But this later stuff that we just mentioned though is yes, this is 14-year-old Roland seeing things that he has no understanding or
Yeah.
he shouldn't see. This is stuff from his future. So, but I mean, I'm not necessarily whatever. That's just how I interpreted it. And it sounds like David's the same way. So, and then Barack says this part reminds me of the scene in Wizard of Oz with Dorothy and and then so because he was typing that out as we said it. Yeah, which is cool because like I feel like we've had some allusions to the Wizard of Oz already throughout this series. In fact, that was one of the ones they were talking about in the third book.
Yeah,
because
we'll tell him the story.
Roland
Yeah,
wanted to hear it because he's like, you learn a lot from a culture by its stories and stuff. So, and then there was like the whole debate about like, well, the book versus the movie and that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I remember Wizard of Oz has been fairly present in this story, so it's just kind of an interesting allusion to it. I think,
yeah, exactly.
Visually. So,
so I just my note. Whoa, Sheb, we got Brown. You know, the guy in the overalls.
No Zoltan though.
No Zoltan. And Susanna here in this one, plus finding out the voice speaking his name in the storm is the voice of the storm, is what it says.
Yeah.
Or is it the voice of the ball? In my head, it's the voice of it's the wizard glass, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. And then my note, wild. So I wonder if Roland connects these things as he gets to them in the future, like when he hears Hey, because he also Sheb doing Hey Jude. That's Toll's Sheb. We haven't heard Hey Jude in this town. So that's Sheb. It's easy for him to just mix that and just pass by it and go, oh yeah, we've already seen Sheb here as well. No. Hey Jude though, that's book 1.
Yeah.
So he's seeing Sheb and yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So it's like when he actually sees Sheb in Toll singing Hey Jude, does he remember this? Does he remember this when it comes to Brown and Susanna? Like, are these things that flash back to him when he actually hits those moments? I guess is my wonder. Or is there so much time that separates that does he kind of like lose some of this, I guess?
So that does actually get covered later in this subchapter, and I'll bring it up when we get there. And then my next note, interesting, Roland thinks of Susan's chair as a torture device.
Yeah, and the thing I question is, does it have straps? Is he seeing it from the time of Data where it would have had straps on it? And then in their time period too, like the wheels, like a chair with wheels, that probably would only be a torture device,
right?
So like right, the wheels will be the things that are like pulling your limbs as you're sitting in the chair or whatever, right? So it's not a.
Well, also you're seeing it as it flashes past in a storm, and he doesn't know what a wheelchair is.
No.
So it's a big iron chair with wheels. It looks like a torture device in his mind.
Maybe it even has straps on the arms because you're tying Data down to it. So there's any number of things that can give that thought to him. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so going on, now the pink storm is carrying him over blasted mountains over a green fertile delta, where a broad river runs and oxbow squiggles like a vein. It reflects a pale blue sky that turns pink as the storm rushes over it. Ahead, Roland sees an uprushing column of darkness and his heart quails. But that is where the pink storm is taking him and where he must go. I want to get out, he thinks, but he is not stupid and understands he may never get out. The wizard's glass has swallowed him, and he may remain in its stormy, muddled eye forever. Roland thinks, I will shoot my way out, but he has no guns. He is naked in the storm, rushing bare-ass toward the blue-black infection that has buried all the landscape beneath it. He hears singing, faint but beautiful, a sweet harmonic sound that makes him think of Susan. Bird and bear and hare and fish. Suddenly, Sheemie's mule, Capricoso, a beautiful name, Roland thinks, goes galloping past on thin air, following him wearing a sombrero and riding a broom festooned with fluttering reap charms comes Rhea of the Coos. I'll get you, my pretty, she screams at the fleeing mule, and the cackling, she is gone.
Yeah, and in fact, during the book 3 discussion of Wizard of Oz, I almost said Wizard in Glass, doesn't Eddie do an impression, and it actually like triggers Roland a little bit because it like, and you know, we obviously don't know Rhea yet, but he does. So yeah, it's very, very a lot of connections here. So yeah, like I said, this is way worse than Jonas or Rhea. He even senses the fact that he is in it. Like this isn't like some deception where it like whatever. Like
no, he has the full consciousness that he's there inside the ball.
I also can't wait to see this on screen.
Oh my god,
this is gonna be a trip. So yeah,
absolutely. And then my note, there's so much going on here. Roland thinks about being trapped in the ball And then seeing Capi and Rhea. Rhea's like the witch from Wizard of Oz. We've already mentioned it and everything.
Oh, yeah, David, you're right. Sorry, it was Jake that does the impression, not Eddie.
It's Jake.
I just assumed the old windbag Eddie was the one that was doing impressions,
Yeah.
but it makes sense a kid would do it too. Also, Brock says, do you suppose gunslingers are trained to receive torture resistance?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they would have to, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, yeah, I agree. So, yeah, it's funny you came up with Wizard of Oz as well. Yeah, it's very...
I mean, how could I not with her saying, I'll get you, my pretty? I mean, like, for fuck's sake,
Yeah,
dude.
now all we need is flying monkeys.
Like, if someone all of a sudden starts clicking their heels and going, there's no place like home, I don't think we could be more obvious. I'm melting, maybe, might be the only other more.
Yeah, indeed. And in my note, yeah, indeed, even more Ozish than before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so going on, Roland plunges into the black, and suddenly his breath is gone. The world around him is noxious darkness, and the air... I hate this fucking line. Dude, it hurt. When I wrote this, I got, like, goosebumps. It like, freaked me out. And the air seems to creep on his skin like a layer of bugs. I'm not a fan of that. He is buffeted, boxed to and fro by invisible fists and driven downward in a dive so violent he feared he would smash against the ground. So fell Lord Perth. Dead fields and deserted villages roll up out of the gloom. He sees blasted trees that give no shade. And a direct quote here from the book. Oh, but all is shade here. All is death here. This is the edge of End World, where some dark day he will come, and all is death here. And that's the end of the quote from the book. But then a quote from that voice again. Gunslinger, this is Thunderclap. Thunderclap, Roland repeats. Quote, here are the unbreathing, the white faces. The unbreathing, the white faces, Roland says. Yes, Roland knows that somehow, that this is the place of slaughtered soldiers, the coven helm, the rusty halberd, from here come the pale warriors. This is Thunderclap, where the clocks run backwards and the graveyards vomit out their dead.
That's fun.
That is holy fuck, that's a line.
That's fun. And then Endworld versus Midworld. I don't think it's our first mention of Endworld. But yeah,
I think it might be.
No, I looked it up. There's some mentions in the third book.
Oh, okay.
I looked in the concordance, and I always forget which of the two authors did which one. The concordance by Robin Firth. I went and found Endworld in that, and yeah, I saw at least one reference in book 3. So yeah, but I was thinking the same thing. Like, oh, it's our first mention. That's kind of and it's interesting because we've been hearing Midworld so often that that's become like even zoom out from the story itself. Like that's what we call Roland's world.
Yeah,
but it's like it sounds like that's actually like a region of it all. So it's kind of interesting.
So Roland is conversing with some entity here, and he is in a place called Thunderclap that is obviously evil, covered in a black cloud, and everything's dead. I have never heard of a happy place where clocks run backwards and graveyards vomit out their dead.
Oh, that's fun.
Just saying.
That's fun.
Okay, so going on. Ahead is a tree like a crooked clutching hand, and on its topmost branch, a belly bumbler is impaled. It should be dead, but as the storm carries Roland past it, it raises its head and looks at him in inexpressible pain and weariness. Oi, it cries, and then it too is gone and not remembered for many years. So there's the first mention there. I wanted to pause what I mentioned earlier coming back. It mentions it a couple times. I think this is the first one, and I don't know if I took note of it later, that Roland is like always saying in these parts, like, this comes back to him later when he thinks on these things and everything. And I think I do have a note about that. So,
yeah.
But also, I'm sorry, what? A bumbler stuck on a tree? Impaled? What the fuck?
Yeah, and I remember thinking this is very ominous since so far we've seen things that are in his future, but things that we've seen happen. So I remember the first time reading this being like, I don't like that.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be a story from his past, so, like, what the hell are we seeing?
Yeah, but we've already seen, like, Brown and some of these other things where it's just like, I remember being like, oh,
wait,
God.
What?
Oh, God.
Yeah. So going on here, again, we're doing that voice. Quote, look ahead, Roland. See your destiny. Now suddenly Roland knows that voice. It is the voice of the turtle. He looks and sees a brilliant blue-gold glow piercing the dirty darkness of Thunderclap. Before he can do more than register it, he breaks out of the darkness and into the light. like a creature breaking out of an egg being born. Quote, "Light, let there be light," the voice of the turtle cries. Roland has to put his hands to his eyes and peek through his fingers to keep from being blinded. Below him is a field of blood, or so he thinks. A boy of 14 who has done his first killing that day. This is the blood that...
Oh, so just a quick pause. We mentioned it last episode where it's like, oh shit, Cuthbert's the first one to kill, and we were like thinking through, it's like, and this is the first time Roland kills. That was the last episode, so there's your absolute confirmation that that was first kill was earlier today. So
yep. This is the blood that flowed out of Thunderclap and threatens to drown our side of the world, he thinks. And it will be for untold years that he finally rediscovered his time inside the ball and put his memory together with Eddie's dream, and then tells his compadres as they sit in the breakdown lane at the end of the night that he was wrong, that he had been fooled by the brilliance coming as it did, so hard on the heels of Thunderclap's shadow. It wasn't blood, but roses, he tells Eddie, Susanna, and Jake. So there is what I was talking about. That's where it kind of breaks down that Roland has no memory of this all through the time from the events of Magus, Battle of Jericho Hill, all the way up until Book 1, Tull, Under the Mountain, Book 2, Book 3. It's not until here. So Roland doesn't know it when he sees this exact moment, but this is putting it all together when they're in Topeka. No wonder he had to gather his thoughts after almost fainting. That's where Eddie's like, quick, grab him, guys. I think he's going to faint. And then they asked him, like, what's going on? Who's Susan? He's like, not yet.
yeah.
He is remembering all of this.
Yeah.
Not just his time in the ball, but everything that happened in Magus, everything that the ball shows him, and all of that. Because Eddie asked him earlier, how do you know what's being talked about at the sheriff's office? You weren't there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know.
Yeah.
I was shown it.
Yeah. My note, call this the usual suspects moment for Roland.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
And David says, when I say Thunderclap, I always think of the melody of the song Dirty Pop by NSYNC. Thunderclap. And I don't know that song.
I actually don't know that one. I know there.
You'll have to ask your wife. She
I
might
will.
know. She
Or we
might
could
know.
just look it up and play it. That won't get us copyrighted,
Yeah,
right?
Agmorphy says, I don't think Roland shares much of this to the quartet, right? And I think, everything we're hearing here, I think the quartet's hearing.
He's telling them everything.
Yeah.
So-
That's how I
I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier. Is that's the narrator talking about Eddie, Jake, and Susanna's where and when with the psychiatrist. So if
Yeah.
he's talking there, then obviously he's telling all this to them.
Yeah.
This isn't just some internal thing for Roland.
Yeah.
So,
Although we don't get necessarily a reaction from Jake on
oi,
yeah.
which wouldn't we? Right?
We should. That should cut the entire story off.
like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Beg your finest pardon. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Okay.
much.
So going on again, quote, "Gunslinger, look there. Yes, there it is, a dusty gray-black pillar rearing on the horizon, the Dark Tower. The place where all the beams, all the lines of force converge. It is spiraling windows. He sees fitful electric blue fire and hears the cries of all those pent within. He senses both the strength of the place and the wrongness. He can feel how it is spooling error across everything, softening the divisions between the worlds, how its potential for mischief is growing stronger as disease weakens its truth and coherence. Like a body weakened by cancer, this jutting arm of dark gray stone is the world's great mystery and last awful riddle." So pausing again for some notes. "I have never caught that the tower being infected and dying like a body infected with cancer line before. This changes everything for how I view the tower."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think the other thing that's crazy is we're over halfway through this series at this point, and the Dark Tower is still mostly a mystery.
Yeah.
Hell, I think this is revealing more than anything else we've heard up to this point about
It
the
is.
Dark Tower. So.
This is the most we've ever had explained about the Dark Tower.
And we're over halfway through this series.
I mean, it literally just said, softening the divisions between the worlds, how its potential for mischief is growing stronger.
Yeah.
Like, its potential for mischief. What do you mean? Like, it's doing something?
Yeah.
It's causing things?
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. And that's where like this subchapter seemed very titillating, where I was very tempted to like want it myself, because like it's just, this is a big fucking
it's a huge
moment for the
it's
entire
a huge
series.
reveal.
Yeah.
I don't like the line, the world's great mystery and last awful riddle.
Yeah.
We're done with riddles, aren't we? I thought we were done with riddles.
Yeah, we all love riddles, right?
No. Lightning teeth, no. So this is the last section of subchapter 5, and I was trying to summarize it and everything, and I can't. I'm quoting the whole thing. So it is the tower, the dark tower rearing to the sky, and as Roland rushes toward it in the pink storm, he thinks, I will enter you, me and my friends. If Ka wills it so, we will enter you and we will conquer the wrongness within you. It may be years yet, but I swear by bird and bear and hare and fish, by all that I love. But now the sky fills with flaggy clouds which flow out of thunderclap, and the world begins to go dark. The blue light from the tower rising windows shines like mad eyes, and Roland hears thousands of screaming, wailing voices. You will kill everything and everyone you love, says the voice of the turtle, and now it's a cruel voice, cruel and hard, and still the tower will be pent shut against you. The gunslinger draws in all his breath, draws together all his force. When he cries his answer to the turtle, he does so for the generations of his blood. No, it will not stand. When I come here in my body, it will not stand. I swear on my father's name, it will not stand. Then die, the voice says, and Roland is hurled at the gray-black stone flank of the tower to be smashed there like a bug against a rock. Before that can happen, and that's how the subchapter ends.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. That's it. That's right where it ends.
Yeah. And my note here, my last note, and thus the Roland we have known up to this point is born, and not without warning of what that will mean. And the turtle is the one that gave him that warning, so you can't even write it off as a deception of the tower.
Unless the turtle is the tower.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, it is going against Pennywise, which is a very loving creature. So.
My note here, what a subchapter. We don't know what happens because it cuts off right there at the end. Roland's hurling towards the tower. Is he going to be splatted? Is he going to be okay? Is his mind going to be okay?
I'm also glad we have one more subchapter to cover. Can you imagine if we ended?
Oh, right there. That's it.
that would have been brutal.
I'm honestly shocked, Tad, that you didn't have us do that because I know you. And you're
I don't
evil.
do it on purpose.
You
I
do.
just know it's
You do.
it's the percentages. So no, really really great subchapter. Like this is incredible. And like I said,
Yeah.
this is the biggest insight we've had to the entire Dark Tower.
It is.
Again, we're over halfway through this entire series, and we're now only. It's not like I feel like with Lord of the Rings, like in the very beginning of it all, you kind of figure out this, not the beginning, but within the first quarter or the first half of the first book, you understand everything about what the journey is supposed to be, right? You're going to learn about characters and other things.
Gotta destroy the ring.
Yeah, but it's like we don't have that you need to destroy the ring until now. I mean, we don't even have that yet. We just have an understanding of like our first real view of what the fuck the Dark Tower is. And again, we as readers, we've been pulling books off of our shelves that say the Dark Tower series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we understand like this is the titular thing of this entire fucking series, and only now are we actually getting any kind of insight into it. I mean, we got some hints earlier, but it's been very fucking vague. Where I remember the first time reading it being like, when the fuck are we going to learn about the goddamn Dark Tower? In the beginning of every book, I was like, this is certainly the book where we have to like start learning more.
And then book 2. And then book 3.
Exactly. It just keeps going. And then this one I hated the first time because it was a flashback, but it's like now suddenly in the middle of this flashback is the first time that I get a fucking taste of
and
something.
it's so easy to miss too, because it's not even there at the end where Roland's shouting his decree and everything like that, or the turtle then saying then die and flinging him at the tower and everything. It's earlier in this little last section here that I was quoting directly from the book, is that he doesn't even say it out loud. I will enter you, me and my friends, if Ka wills us so. We will enter you, and we will conquer the wrongness within you. It may be years yet, but I swear by bird, bear, and hare and fish, by all that I love, by now the sky fills with flaggy clouds. So that's his promise. That's his quest.
Yeah.
Is to fix the wrongness within the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
He feels it. He knows something's wrong, and he has to fix it.
And we know the obsession that he has, and it's like that's what I meant with my note. Is like this is ultimately the birth of the Roland
That's
that we've
exactly
known
it,
for the rest of the series that everything we've read up to this point. We now understand like this is the moment, right? This is the pearls dropping in the alley. This is the whatever else you want to call it. There's that moment, right, for any character, and this is it for Roland. Essentially,
it's Frodo standing up and saying, "I will take the ring."
Yeah.
It's that moment for this character, and that's why my last note here. I had to quote that directly because this is Roland's quest. The start of everything for him is right here.
Yeah.
This it. Subchapter 5 of Chapter 10, Demon Moon Part 2, is where Roland's quest starts. Is that line, and it's not at the end. It's not him screaming it. It's not him proclaiming it. It's that thought in his head that we will conquer the wrongness within you. Such an easy way, and I think maybe that's why there's a lot of discussion about Roland's motives.
Yeah.
It's not clear what it is and everything, like you said it. We're over halfway through the series before we finally get it. He is going to go to the Dark Tower because he wants to correct what is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the subchapter, and that's huge. That's mind-blowing.
David said, I will enter you and so my friends. Worst pickup line ever. That's good. Also, you got some emoji applause.
Thank you.
For your dramatic performance there.
Thank you.
So
I was in drama in high school. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also applaud the emojis. So let's jump on over to Subchapter 6. So Cuthbert and Alain watched Roland with increasing concern. He had the ball raised to his face. The pink glow washed his face, and neither boy liked it. It seemed alive and hungry. They both thought, with one mind, that they could not see his eyes and wondered where his eyes were. Bert told him if they were going to get to Hanging Rock before they're ready for them, that he needs to put that thing away. Roland made no move to lower the ball. He muttered something under his breath, and later Bert and Alain compared notes, and both thought it was thunderclap that he had said. So,
and we know that's probably true.
Yeah, that seems legit. No X for doubt here. Let's see. I just lost my my stupid mouse. There we go. I had to scroll a little bit. All right. So
I hate when it jumps like that.
Yeah. Well, I also accidentally clicked my thing, so it's on infinite scroll.
Oh,
so
no.
That's a very dangerous thing. But I do love it because I love to live dangerously. So my notes here. Yeah, good reminder of where we left off. Time is incredibly important right now, as the folks at Hanging Rock would have heard the shooting and might be preparing for them or even moving in their direction soon. If not
we don't know
already.
what their plan is going to be. They could be like, hey, what was that? We need to go investigate. Or it could be like, hey, shore up defenses. We need to protect these tankers at all costs. It could be either one.
Yeah.
Either one,
they're losing.
Not good.
They're losing their advantage
Yes.
with every second. So I remember the first time reading this, thinking now is a good time to punch him again.
Tad in his violence.
Because it's hypnotizing. It's the same thing as people when they're hysterical. You just got to slap the person. You know, there's an element you got to break someone out of something sometimes.
Why does it have to be a punch? Why not slap him,
Well,
Tad? Why does it have to be a punch?
It worked last time to bring Roland out of his haze. So that was my first thought the first time reading it. So
it worked the first time. Let's do it again.
Yeah, why not?
Never mind his brain damage.
Yeah.
Like CTE.
Yeah, who cares? He can live with it.
My only note here: these boys just went through their first battle, which is half over, like you said. We have Hanging Rock still to deal with in the tankers.
Yeah.
And they never faced their trials. Now their leader is lost. What a terrible time for this to happen. It's just the worst time for him to grab the ball, right?
Yeah. But what have we learned about the balls? They're malicious, mischievous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the ball won't lie, but it will very specifically pick out things to show you to make you think certain directions. Like
Steven warned them about them for a reason.
Yeah, they're fucking malicious goddamn things. So this makes total fucking sense, right? And like it also revealed itself to Susan by turning the glow on under the bed. There's also times it shut off. Like it just feels like it's picking its fucking spots, and it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why do you keep doing this? But I feel like
I feel like you're describing how I feel towards you. Are you a part of the Wizard Rainbow, Tad?
No,
everything you just said, it pertains to how I act towards you and how I think towards you and everything. I'm watching you, buddy.
Oh, so Alain called Roland's name and moved his hand between the ball and Roland's face. There was no response.
So it's not eye contact.
He pulled his hand away and looked back at Cuthbert. Bert asked if he could touch him, and Alain said no. It was like he was gone somewhere far away. Bert said he needed to wake him up in a dry voice that was shaky on the edges. Alain said that Vinay had taught them that waking someone up from a deep hypnotic trance too suddenly could drive them mad, and said he's not sure if he dared. Okay, so never mind about punching him.
Yeah. Never mind.
That's my evolving thoughts here.
All
so,
right.
Yeah.
Alain not being able to touch him is very scary to me.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's like very far away and just like not able to touch him even though he's right there. It's like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah, because we've seen him like reaching out and touching people like a mile or so away, like when they were trying to like
the
sense
party and everything.
Yeah, so it's like to have like someone that's like literally like you just put your hand between the ball and his face,
Mhm.
like, and you can't like use the touch or the shine on him. That's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. So Alain saying that from the touch's perspective, it was like he was not there at all. That's not definitely.
No,
not
that's
comforting. That's not good.
This is not safe.
Roland stirred, and the pink sockets where his eyes should be seemed to grow, and his mouth showed bitter determination, and he called out, no, it would not stand, and gave both other boys goosebumps. It was not Roland's voice. It was the voice of a man. Later, Alain would say, no, that was the voice of a king. But for now, both and that just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
But for now, both just looked at their absent and roaring friend in paralyzed fright. And then I have a direct quote here. Quote, when I come here in my body, it will not stand. I swear on my father's name, it will not stand. Then Roland's face contorted like the face of someone facing some unimaginable horror, like the deadlights maybe. They both lunged forward. It was no longer a question of destroying him to save him. The ball would kill him, and they were not. And with them watching it, if they didn't do something. In the door of the barcade, it had been Cuthbert who punched Roland. This time, Alain did. Putting his fist in the center of his forehead, Roland tumbled backwards, the ball falling out of his hands, and the terrible pink light leaving his face. Bert caught Roland, and Alain took the ball and threw it in the bag without looking at it and drew the drawstrings closed, but briefly saw the pink light go out as it did, as if it knew it had lost, at least for now at least. He asked if he was, but Bert cut him off, saying he was out cold. Alain said, better come out of it soon, and Cuthbert agreed. And that is the end of the subchapter. So, this has to be frightening for any gunslinger, let alone a few 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess punching him was the answer. Also, I always forget that Alain got a punch in on Roland in this book as well.
Yeah, right in the center of the forehead.
Yeah.
That's a weird place to punch
I think normally if you would have asked me like, oh, which of the two boys and maybe both punch Roland in this book, I would have said.
How many times does Alain and Cuthbert together punch Roland? Oh, it'd be one.
Once, and Cuthbert got it. Yeah. So
you would be wrong, sir.
Yeah,
it was two. One each.
Exactly. So yeah.
I just got to call it out there. Great reflexes by Alain to catch the ball, and then just as smart to stuff it in the bag straight away. Don't
close it.
Don't get tempted.
And don't look.
Don't look.
Yeah.
Just
yeah. And now we need to figure out when he comes to and what state will he be in when he does, as we've also seen how this has affected two people with much less interaction. So it's like, how is Roland going to be? Is he now useless? Is he off the board? Like, this is very, very big questions we need to ask for sure. So we do have a few more minutes. So we have about 6 minutes, I think. Let's go ahead and hit the spoiler section.
Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead.
All right, so we are now over in the spoiler section. So yeah, a couple notes from me. So in subchapter 4, I've never would have thought about it before, but knowing what we later find out about Sheemie, the fact that he is so certain that he's following the path of Susan is a good hint of his abilities.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of an interesting little like.
Yeah.
Never would have thought of it the first time, but it's like having read the whole series, it's like, oh wait, we end up finding out like he has a lot of abilities, and one of them is psychic. So it's like, yeah, it would make sense that he'd be able to kind of follow like the trail without whatever. So and then my next note, so the entire realm of Roland's morality, he has his nature, but the fact that he is given a warning about the death of everyone he loves or cared about does put some free will back on him about his like nature, right? Because there's one element of, well, it's just his nature, he had some charge for his mission, but it's like he almost had a warning there where it's like, if you're pledging this, but be warned, if you pledge this, it means the death of everyone you love and care about. And he still commits to it. So it's like, it takes some element of like, well, Roland's just Roland.
Yeah.
It's like, no. There's still some element of like, you had a warning.
Yeah. It's
So-
also very interesting because it says you will kill everything and everyone you love. And still the tower will be penned shut against you.
Yeah.
But he doesn't kill everything and everyone he loves. Almost, not quite. Susanna survives. And the tower doesn't say pen shut against him, or does it? That's the question. Is that why he's on the repeat cycle?
Yeah, I think
Is
it's
that
closed.
it?
It's closed against him. I
Like
think
when
yeah.
he walks in the bottom of the Dark Tower, is he going into the actual tower?
I don't think he is.
Or is he being shunted into the start of a repeat?
Yeah. Like, I think when he actually gets to his full-on redemption and he actually reaches the tower, I think it's an entirely different circumstance. I think once he moves through those doors, it's entirely different. I don't think he's going to flash back through his life and everything like he does. Like
Going up the levels of the tower?
I think he will actually see what is inside the Dark Tower. I think literally what we're seeing is almost like a false thing that's like, no, you
you're
failed.
Right, because
you're
the description of the Dark Tower has it where there's lights and voices inside.
Yeah.
Like it's filled with people. But when Roland goes through it, the only thing that he sees is the eyes of the Crimson King on the balcony and then memories of his life.
Yeah.
Not full of these voices. Where's that electric blue fire? And here's the cries of all those pent within.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah.
When Roland goes through the tower.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is changing my feelings on the tower and everything.
Yeah. And then my last note, Roland.
Oh my God. I completely forgot about seeing Oi impaled on a branch, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's tough.
Whoa.
That's tough. That's I thought we had a long ways to go before we had to worry about that scene. And here we are getting fucking stabbed in the fucking ribs with no warning. It's just like, motherfucker. And like we've read it all through, so we obviously know what we're dealing with here. So
we got a which one is this? Is that
Brocky?
That's Brocky. Okay. Remember that the tower one is able to enter is only a physical placeholder representation of something infinite.
Yeah, because like the rows and stuff. So like the tower there's a lot to the tower. It's I think it's beyond any of our comprehension. But like, yeah, I truly think though that like what he's seeing is not truly what's in the tower. Like when he gets to his redemption, I think he's going to see a different, there will be a different view of what's inside there because I think like what we do see is his judgment for like, this is why you're being sent back is like, here's everything you fucking done.
So
this is why you deserve it. Fuck off.
I'm probably going to regret asking this with only a couple minutes left. So are you saying that you believe that Roland's redemption ends at the Dark Tower, not crying off then?
I guess that's true because I've always thought crying off is his ultimate thing. I mean, of course, we had the interview with King where he says the ultimate Roland's damnation is Jake dropping. But yeah, maybe you're right. My long-standing thing is he does have to cry it off because he has to break that basically this promise here. I will enter like whatever. And it's like then everyone you know and love will die, and it's like
that's what the turtle says like, is that then the tower's shut to you and you're dead.
Yeah.
And it literally tries to kill him right there, and the only reason he doesn't die is because Alain punches him in the forehead.
Yeah, so here's the question. If he does give it up and like actually break like the whatever, does he then get an insight into the actual tower in some roundabout way where it's like,
hey, you did good, here's what you were actually looking for.
Kind of the Willy Wonka thing, right? It's like giving the candy back, and then it's like that's what it ultimately opens up to like I'm giving you my factory type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, is it a thing where he has to truly show, and of course he can read his heart to know if it's real. He has to truly show that he's no longer like committed even to the death of all of his friends and loved ones to getting inside that tower. Once he gives that up and forsakes it, is he then allowed some key to like, okay, you can now enter.
Now you're worthy.
Yeah, now you're worthy. So interesting stuff in the middle of not the middle, the tail end of the fourth book here.
Yeah.
So great stuff. Great fucking chapter. So
it'd be very hard to avoid the spoiler here.
Yeah, luckily we're in the spoiler section, but it's that was an interesting subchapter to go through though, where it's just like, ooh, God, can't say certain things there.
Tower said, "Good day, sir." I say good day.
I'm gonna make a meme of that. Just get that screen grab and go the Dark Tower and Roland.
I said good day as it puts on like a fedora.
All right, we'll hit the out.
And it leaves out of the other side of the picture.
Oh, well, all right. With that, we'll hit the outro stuff. If you want to subscribe to us, you can do that on any podcasting service of your choice. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. Join us for our live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver, as well as you'll find our new short form content. You can find all of our old live streams. Of course, there was an era before we live streamed anything, which that'll just be in your podcast feeds. Of course, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We'd appreciate that. And then if you want to find the show notes, do that at darktowerpalaver.com. And then if you want to support the show, do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And if you want to contact us, maybe give Peter some flowers for his dramatic performance here, send that over to...
You can email us, show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Threads. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then we're on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And also on the Twitter, it's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then check us out, facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And pick up some merch if you want it, tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. I did notice there's a sale going on right now.
Yes, indeed. Also, I will throw it out there now because we're in the spoiler section. Chadbourne, that David mentioned earlier, is one of the presidents in one of the alternate Americans. So great deep cut there. Yeah, do get like a tattoo of like a political sticker for Chadbourne for president or something. So,
born to fix America.
Yeah. Yeah, something. Or just to get a dollar bill with somebody else's name on it or face on it, and it has like Chadbourne as the name underneath it or something.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be a good tattoo. All right, and with that, we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
Boy. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining us. Thanks for being part of the show. You guys are awesome. And yeah, we'll be back in a fortnight minus a day. I guess we should have mentioned that in the
Friday
proper
the 19th.
episodes. I did change the YouTube, though, so it is showing the right date there.
Okay.
But yeah, the next episode is on the 19th. It's an hour later than normal. Join us for the year-end bash. It's going to be a lot of fun, and can't wait for 2026. Hopefully,
be awesome.
Hopefully an exciting year ahead of us. All right, see you guys.
Bye, everyone.